Welcome back to another FPL deadline stream for Game Week 11. Thank you very much for your patience. I'm going to go very quickly through the questions and comments that have been posed already, just to be able to catch up. And there is a lot to discuss, despite the fact that my team looks very rollable, if you can even say that. I'm still considering a one-week punt, which I discussed in the team selection video. I think Saka is one of the best midfielders in FPL, but facing Newcastle away, I am very tempted to make a one-week punt of Saka to Foden to target Bournemouth at home, where Foden has 2 goals and 2 assists in 3 Premier League games. The big question is, will he start? If we get confirmation with these leaks that we tend to get before the deadline, then I'm very tempted to make that move and then switch back to Saka in Game Week 12. And the other big debate is the captaincy, because I think the starting 11 speaks for itself. Is between Haaland and Salah there for the armband. And at the moment, I am going for Haaland. But honestly, I might just get a coin right next to me and flip it and see where it lands, because it is a very difficult one this week. I think if you're actually looking at it logically, Haaland did get a rest midweek, no Carabao Cup action, while Salah played the full 90. Salah does have the midfielder advantage of the clean sheet point and an extra point of scoring a goal. And also, Salah's been more consistent this season, you could argue, hauling in more games and also only 1 blank, which was a bit fraudulent in my opinion. As for Haaland though, 16 points against Man United. He has been in form, scored a brace in the Champions League as well, so it's very difficult to separate them. But actually, if you look at the defensive numbers, Bournemouth are even worse than Luton Town, both in terms of goals conceded and expected goals conceded. So there's a lot of different factors. Man City also are at home, so a lot of these arguments do point towards Haaland, but it's very difficult to ignore Salah, especially with the season he's having. Let's get straight into your questions and comments as always. JP says, who to start out of Gabriel, Lascelles and Maguire? I'd probably go for Maguire because it's a very difficult game to call between Arsenal and Newcastle. A lot of people would predict a high scoring draw, or maybe just a goal, how do I say this, a 1-1 draw, basically a score draw. I think a 0-0 is very unlikely. Only 1 out of the last 10 meetings between these two sides resulted in that scoreline. And if I had to pick between the Arsenal or Newcastle defender, I'd go for Gabriel, but I'd probably go for Maguire in the end, which doesn't seem great. Man United aren't great defensively, and they're in terrible form. They have a lot of injuries. Casemiro is out for the next couple of weeks. Varane is also, I'm not even sure what the situation there is, but I'd probably go for Maguire. Data says, should I go for a doggy to Tsimikas or Burn to Tsimikas for free? I think I'd just do a doggy to Tsimikas because, as I discussed in my trans tips video, if a doggy is still a doubt heading into this deadline, I'd just get rid of him and the headache. He might well start against Chelsea, and that's what I would expect to happen. But just to get rid of that headache, I would make that move. And I also think Burn in the long term is a better option than a doggy. So yeah, I'd do a doggy to Tsimikas. I also think Brighton will concede against Everton. People do forget, just a few months ago, and I know it's a different season and different teams, but it was 5-1 to Everton at the Amex Stadium against Brighton. So yeah, it's definitely worth considering. I'd probably make the move to Tsimikas from a doggy. Aiden says, hey Dylan, my team is Areola, Turner, Trippier, Gabriel, Tsimikas, Cash, Taylor, Salah, Maddison, Martinelli, Gordon, Diaby, Haaland, Watkins and Obama. I have 2 free transfers and 0 million. What should I do? I would also consider a 1-week punt, such as Martinelli to Foden. I think it's definitely worth considering, and you probably don't want to burn a transfer. Now, is that move absolutely necessary? Not really, but I think it could really benefit you in Game Week 11. In terms of moves you could make in the long term to improve your team, you could downgrade one of your outfield players to then upgrade Turner to Raya. Now, you already have Gabriel there, so it might seem a bit, not necessary, let's put it that way, but that's something I would consider seriously. I think Raya is probably the best goalkeeper to have on the wildcard, and also just from now until the Christmas break. So I definitely consider that. In terms of what move you could make to facilitate that, Watkins to Alvarez in Game Week 13 or 15 is a possibility. Apart from that, I mean, it is difficult. I wouldn't downgrade one of your defenders. I mean, Trippier you could make a case for, but there's a reason why you have him. But yeah, I think one thing I would consider is upgrading one of your goalkeepers to Raya long term. And if you're looking for a 1-week punt, Aiden, Martinelli to Foden. Sudindra says, hey Dylan, who to start between Gabriel, Archer and Adingra? And is it worth selling Bowen to Foden using 1 free transfer for 1 game week punt? Ranked at 1 million, have a good feeling about Foden. So do I. It's all about whether he starts or not though. Yeah, I don't mind that as a 1-week punt, but over the next 5 and beyond, I do prefer Bowen. But yeah, for a 1-week punt, I don't mind it at all. I'm considering something very similar too with Saka. I could also sell Bowen too, actually. Maybe I could, I might actually be priced out of that, actually, when I'm looking at it, but I am considering a similar move. I do like it. Hey, Dylan, start one, Gabriel, Burn, Taylor. Not ideal. Probably Taylor, actually. Start Mbeumo or Bowen. I mean, honestly, I'd start both, but if I had to pick one, probably I'm going to stick with Bowen, but very difficult one to call. Would you do Bowen / Son to Saka? Not this week, no. It's not worth it. In Gameweek 12, you could consider such a move, especially Son to Saka to give you a bit extra funds, but not this week. Nick says, hi Dylan, I hope you're doing great. Is it worth selling Maddison for Matoma or Palmer sold for Adingra? If I had to pick one move, it would be Palmer to Adingra, but it's kind of a difficult one because I'd only sell Palmer for the fixtures. He looked very impressive against Brentford and in the Carabao Cup, but yeah, Palmer to Adingra is my preference. I wouldn't sell Maddison to Matoma, no chance. I think you're downgrading there. Start Gordon or Nketiah. I'd probably favour Gordon here. I don't expect Nketiah to do anything. I hope I'm wrong, by the way. I really do. But just being realistic, seeing Nketiah in the last couple of years for Arsenal, I don't think he's going to make an impact in this game. FPL Diamond says, like, share, subscribed. Thank you very much, mate, for the shout out as always. And smash the like button. As he says, it really helps us out in the algorithm. AM says, hey, Dylan, is my team good? Yeah, of course it is. It's a very solid team. I like the Ferguson punt. It might be not the most reliable pick. He might be benched in the odd week, but Ferguson has so much potential. And when he does start, he's always got a chance of hauling. And yeah, the rest looks very solid. Apart from Rashford, he's the only one I look at and think, that's not looking too great. That double up in Liverpool defence looks pretty good this week, actually. Not a big fan of it in Game Weeks 12 and 13, but in Game Week 11, it looks great. And overall, you've got a very solid team. I like Foden in particular. Lager says, good morning, Dylan. Great to see you as always. Thank you very much. Likewise. We have exact same amount of points. Is there any other defenders to consider instead of going a doggy to Tsimikas, you think? Yeah. Joachim Andersen, Mark Gay for a Crystal Palace defender. Gabriel is still a good option long-term. Not necessarily in Game Week 11, but long-term he is. If you're looking for a one-week defender punt, even a C defender, very good chance of a clean sheet, but you're always going to get rotation, and the fixtures are still poor. Matty Cash is kind of a simple one. Trent and Trippier are always going to be right up there, and I really like Trent as a one-week punt this week, but I do recognise if you're buying a defender, it will be long-term. But yeah, I think a Crystal Palace defender would be next on my agenda. Foden starting 11 for sure. Not for sure, but he has started every single home game in the Premier League this season and only blanked once. I think he will start and do very well, but I'm not absolutely sure about it. I've been burned by Foden in the past and by Pep Guardiola, so I'm a bit sceptical about such a move. But I have to say, if I knew he's starting from the leaks, I might just take the punt and sell Saka. Morning, Burn to Tsimikas or Gay? I prefer Tsimikas. Now, you look at Brentford, he is benchable in that fixture, and I definitely wouldn't start him against City the week after. But then it's followed by 2 or 3 good fixtures, and I think Tsimikas is a very good differential up until Robertson comes back around January. So I'd go to Tsimikas personally. Singh says, hey Dylan, thoughts on Gabriel versus Gay versus Taylor? Well, this week I'd go for Gay, and I'd rank it Gay first, Taylor second, and Gabriel third. Overall, I think Gabriel's the best, but for this week, considering the fixture, I'd go for Mark Gay. Captain Haaland or Salah, like I said, it's a coin toss. I'm going for Haaland right now, but just for reference, I've kind of gotten it wrong in the last couple of weeks and almost all season, so maybe go for who I don't captain. 5 a.m. here, going to bed. Oh, yeah, that's really late. Just go sleep, FPL Darwin, trust me. Good luck. Hopefully when you wake up, it's not pain from FPL. I wish you all the best. Bill says, hello Dylan, do you think Ward-Prowse to Adingra is a good move for free up some money to bring Saka next week? What would you sell, though? Who would you sell to get Saka? That would be the question, but that is a good idea. I don't mind it. With Ward-Prowse playing a deeper role, doesn't matter if the fixtures are good. You're really relying on set pieces for him to do anything. So it's a big shame. I had him in my team. I also took a -4 hit last week to bring in Saka and Jarrod Bowen. So yeah, I would consider such a move. I'm not a huge fan of Adingra, but at that price and below, he's one of the best options with the fixtures in mind. Rawan says, Udogie, Burn, Gabriel, Bowen, Saka, Maddison start free. Well, I tend to start the midfielders. So yeah, if I had to pick, it would be Bowen, Saka, Maddison. It's as simple as that. If you need one defender in that scenario, well, yeah, you would. It would be Udogie. But honestly, don't bench one of Maddison, Bowen or Saka. It's not worth it. Thoughts on transferring out Haaland to Alvarez to fund for Salah? No. Selling Haaland this week makes no sense at all. Even if it's to get Salah and you've also got Alvarez, in my personal opinion, it's not worth it. Back your gut. If you have a good feeling about it, then don't let me discourage you. But I'm just saying I would not recommend it. Ferguson or Dean? I'd go for Ferguson. Areola or Vicario? I'd go for Vicario this week, actually. Alex says, hi, mate, would you hold Borro for one more week? I wouldn't mind that. My prediction is 2-0 Spurs. So, yeah, clean sheet is possible. Chelsea don't tend to score many goals anyway. Now, oddly enough, I think Chelsea will do better against the bigger teams or the better teams in the league rather than a team that will sit back and park like Brentford the other week. So, look, I'd probably hold Pedro Porro for one more week. But then again, if you can go to Tsimikas or Anderson, Mark Gay, they are good players to have this week and probably even better than Pedro Porro. Sanchez or Areola? Areola. Best Brian asset for the next 3 weeks. My favourite would be Matoma. Yep, I completely agree, FPL Diamond. John Lloyd says, good morning. Do you recommend bringing in Matoma or Hwang for Ward-Prowse or stick and play James Ward-Prowse? My preference right now is Hwang Hee-chan. He featured in my best wildcard team video, and also he was a buy in the Trans Tips video the other day, so I'd go for Hwang Hee-chan. The only downside to that is that there's no Pedro Neto for the next couple of weeks, and I think he's a very important source of creativity in that Wolves side. Mohammed says, Mitchell, Gay, or 8 Nuri. That's a really good shout, actually. 8 Nuri playing in a very advanced role. I like that shout, but I'm still going to be a bit boring and say Mark Gay. And Gabriel on the bench, yeah, that's completely fine. I'd go for Gay personally, just because the next 5 fixtures are fantastic for Crystal Palace, and I anticipate 2 clean sheets in that run. And for a 4.6 million defender, you can't ask for too much more. Welcome, Triple B. When did you bring in Anderson? On my wildcard in Gameweek 8. I've made no transfers this week, by the way. Good morning to you as well, FPL Diamond, as always. Gayo 8 Nuri is solid. 8 Nuri has been playing in the midfield last 2 gimmicks. Yep, amazing opportunity to have a defender in the midfield. Completely agree. And this week against Sheffield United, I mean, my prediction is 1-0 to Wolves. So, you know, that would be perfect, I think. An attack and return and a clean sheet is possible. All the best, Dylan. Great stream so far. Thank you very much, mate. Would you play Burn or Gabriel or Taylor? I'd go for Taylor. It seems a bit unorthodox, but I think Newcastle Arsenal will be relatively high scoring. A 2-2 wouldn't surprise me at all. It's a very difficult game to call. You know, 1 minute I think Arsenal win, then I think Newcastle, then I think draw. It's one of the most difficult games to predict so far this season. I'd go for Taylor. Bojan Zupak says, Cash and Borro or Son, Saka, Mbeumo, Diaby and Castagna just for this game week draft. I would go for this week only, it'd be Son and Castagna, I think, yeah. It seems a bit weird to do that, though. Castagna facing Man United, I still think the Red Devils will score. But yeah, I think just Son alone would make it worthwhile. So I'd go for Son and Castagna. Not a big fan of Castagna, though, if I'm being honest. For any Gabriel owners in the midweek EFL Cup, Saliba was grimacing and holding his leg in the background whilst they showed Martinelli and Saka getting ready to come on. To be honest, though, with Saliba, I think he's fine, and I really hope he is, because otherwise Arsenal are really, really in a precarious situation, let's put it that way. But I think what happened in the last week is Saliba was rotated against West Ham in the Carabao Cup, and Gabriel was rotated in the Premier League, so both of them had some sort of rest, should we put it that way, heading into Newcastle. I think they're both fine for Game Week 12. Oddly enough, though, I think Saliba could be rested against Burnley in Game Week 12, and Gabriel will start. Burn to Tsimikas. Yeah, I don't mind that at all. Actually, for my family members' team just now, I made that same transfer. Thank you, FPL Diamond. Roy says, can you rank these players over the next 5 game weeks, is it? Alvarez, Foden, Darwin, Saka. It would be Saka first, Darwin second, Alvarez third, Foden fourth. Oddly enough, though, in Game Week 11 alone, I think Foden is the best of the lot. But that's a different story, of course. I think over the next 5 game weeks, it'd be in that order with Saka first. Gordon to Adingra. I probably wouldn't do it, to be honest, unless you're going to find the extra 0.7 million to stretch to a really good asset like Son or Trippier. I don't think it's worth it. I'd just stick with Gordon. I think he's better. Hi, Dylan. What's your take on Taylor? He's a fine 3.9 million defender, nothing more to it. I wouldn't mind starting him this week. I think it will be a low-scoring game between Burnley and Palace. My prediction is 1-0 Palace, but it wouldn't surprise me if it was the other way around or even a goalless draw. So I don't mind starting him this week. Is he someone I want to start most weeks? Definitely not. But in Game Week 11, he's fine. Hi, Dylan. Sorry, Mitchell, Gay, or Nori. Yeah, we've done that. Diaby or Saka says safe. Well, this week, I think Diaby is more likely to produce a bigger return. Never bench Saka, though, okay? If you're asking me to bench one of them, I'm just going to stick with starting Saka because he's so good. Oddly enough, I might sell him, but that's a different story, of course. Play Martinelli or Adingra. Adingra. Gabriel or Udogie? Udogie. Thank you, FPL Diamond. Is having Luis Diaz too much of a risk? It's a shame, of course, with his personal situation. He's a quality player. Not the best FPL asset in general, but I think he's too much of a headache. I'd probably sell him, and maybe I'd go to a one-week punt like Foden. It's a great opportunity for you to make such a move. If you want someone a bit longer term, that's completely understandable. I still like Jarrod Bowen a lot over the next 6 game weeks or so. Udogie to Van der Ven. I mean, yeah, you can get rid of that headache and just, you know, keep that Spurs defender in there and go to Van der Ven. I don't mind that. But you've also got the Crystal Palace defenders. You've got Gabriel long-term, Tsimikas, and I would rather go for Tsimikas or a Palace defender. He's not bad, though. Van der Ven, of course, one of the highest scoring defenders so far, and he's been a great signing for Tottenham. Jay says, hey, Dylan, Joao Pedro or Ferguson? I still prefer Ferguson, which I said before the goal against Fulham. Taylor over Trippier this week? Nah, I'd still start Trippier, to be honest. Bench Louis says FPL Diamond. To be fair, most of his returns, if not all, have come at home. Islam says, hey Dylan, Saka, Matoma, Madison, Son, Douglas Luiz, bench 1. Yeah, probably Douglas Luiz, as FPL Diamond said. To be honest, I think that was a good shout. You think Foden, Alvarez start? Yes, but I'm not completely convinced about it. Alvarez suspension impacting your goalkeeper Bowen decision? Yeah, I think that's a big blow for West Ham. I also think Brentford are well poised. They're in good form now. And my prediction is 2-2 in that game. But once again, a difficult game to predict. To be honest, though, I've already got Areola. Ideally, I'd upgrade Turner to Raya. That is what I'm looking to do in the next couple of weeks. But if we actually look at a few different screens. So first of all, I'm going to go to FPL.Team so we can visualize Game Week 11. No, Game Week 12. So this is how my team looks like in Game Week 12. So if I roll the transfer this week and have 2 free transfers, and let me know, by the way, in the live chat if you have any ideas. So this is what I'd be looking to do because Lascelles could be in the team in the long term, or at least in the next couple of weeks with Botman suffering a setback. And I could go for this sort of setup. Tsimikas and Anderson on my bench. That's very, very strong bench, of course. But what I'd want to do is turn it to Raya and then start Raya, of course. But then how do I find that extra 0.7 million? Let me know in the chat. It would be greatly appreciated if you can give a suggestion here. Now, one thing I'm considering in Game Week 13 or 15 is Watkins to Alvarez. It's a possibility, not nailed on, of course. I could even downgrade Anderson and go to a cheaper defender. But the problem is, when Botman comes back, I've got Lascelles and then possibly, a Taylor or Maguire there. I'm not a big fan of that, but let's see. So I've got 4.2 million. I could go to Maguire, famous last words, and do something like that. But honestly, I'd still want to have a Crystal Palace defender over the next couple of weeks. Maybe an alternative is to go to Johnston instead of Raya and then find an even better defender, but it's a difficult one, I think. That's what I'd ultimately want to do, and I think that's the biggest weak link in my team, the goalkeeper's situation, with Turner possibly being usurped by Vlaco Dimos, and also the lack of clean sheets between Turner and Areola. So, yeah, it's a difficult one, I think, but ultimately, if I can, I would try to bring Raya in Game Week 12, but I need 0.7 million, and that's the big question. Yeah, definitely. Johnston Mate says, FPL Diamond. Let me just quickly see what the question was. By Jared. He says, Sanchez to Areola or Johnston? Yeah, Johnston, considering fixtures. He's the one to buy. I completely agree. Sina says, play Leno or Areola? Difficult one. I'd probably go for Areola still, but honestly, it's probably like 2 or 3 points for both of them. Start Flecken or Areola? I'd favour Flecken in this game. I am predicting a 2-2 draw. But I also think Brentford are more likely to win, if you catch what I'm saying. Ward-Prowse or Nketiah. This week, it would be Ward-Prowse. In the next couple of weeks, though, so long as Jesus is out, I think Nketiah is the one to start, to be fair. So it's a difficult one. Alexander says Neto and James Ward-Prowse to Diaby and Adingra or Palmer or McTominay. Don't go for McTominay, trust me. He might have won Man United Player of the Month, but don't go for McTominay, trust me. Adingra or Palmer, yep. If you're looking for a budget midfielder, I'd go for Adingra for now, but long term, you're looking at maybe 16 onwards. That's when you'd go to Palmer. So probably a dinger for me. Would you play Gordon over Gabriel? Yes. One free transfer for Tsimikas for Pedro Porro. Should I do it or not? I would personally. He is not a must-sell though, Pedro Porro, and Spurs have one of the better defences and teams in the league, but I probably would do it. James Ward-Prowse and Boomer for a hit. Now, I think Mbeumo is a great asset. Look at the underlying numbers and stuff like that. But the reason why I'd say no is because he faces Liverpool and Arsenal in the next three. Yeah, he can do well in those games. He's on penalties, but I probably wouldn't. You think Martinelli is better than Saka? No, I don't. Hi, Dylan. Start two of Gabriel, Burn, and Palmer. I would go for Gabriel and possibly Palmer. Difficult one. Mitchell, Gay, or 8 Nuri replace a doggy. Gay, as I mentioned before. Shreyan says, which three should I start? Tsimikas, Cash, Trippier, Gay, Taylor. I'm selling Borro for Tsimikas. Tsimikas, definitely. Cash as well. And the third one's probably, yeah, tricky one, you know, to bench Trippier. Is not something I'd usually recommend. But in this scenario, I'd be tempted to start Gay and bench Trippier. Would you bench Trippier for either Taylor or Gay? Maybe for Gay, but yeah, I mean, I might be saying something really stupid here and giving you a bad recommendation because Trippier, even without a clean sheet, can give you attacking returns. Gay will more often than not, you know, not do it. Let's put it that way. So, you know what? I think I'm just gonna, you know, I'm gonna stick to the principles here. So for Shreyan, I'd say Tsimikas, Cash, and Trippier should start. And Chris, yes, Gay is worth considering. Better chance of a clean sheet in Gameweek 11, but I'd start Trippier. Play Taylor, Gabriel, or Soufal. I'd go for Taylor. Yeah, I would. Thoughts on 1 week punt? Gordon to Hwang Hee-chan. I like it a lot. I really do. Hey, Dylan, start free. Gabriel, Trippier, Cash, Tsimikas, and Kabore. A lot of defender questions this week. Yeah, Trippier, Cash, and Tsimikas for me. Definitely. Douglas Luiz or Hwang Hee-chan? Hwang Hee-chan. Is Anderson from Crystal Palace a good transfer? Yes. He was a buy in the video the other day, if you saw it. So, yeah, he is a good buy. Have Areola and Taylor and Turner. Lamptey, Gabriel, Burns, Tsimikas, Cash, Son, Salah, Matoma, Bowen, Diaby, Haaland, Watkins, Archer. 2 free transfers. Should I make a transfer or not? Yeah, you got 2 free transfers. You don't want to burn one. I understand that. I don't know how much money you have in the bank, but assuming you somehow had enough money, I'd upgrade one of your goalkeepers. So Turner to Raya or even Johnston. I think that'd be great for you, mate. So if you've got enough money for either, go for it. Definitely. Because apart from that, I don't think you need to make a transfer this week necessarily. Maybe your defense is a bit light in Gameweek 11. So you could go to, as well, Mark Gay, Anderson, and sell someone like Lamptey or Burn. But yeah, my preference there, Christopher, is to sell Turner to Raya or Johnston. James or Prowse and Boomer for a hit? No, like I said. By the way, any questions I do answer, I'm not going to go for them again unless the person explicitly states that they haven't seen it. In that case, I might reconsider. Foden 1 week punt and Saka in Gameweek 12 viable. Yeah, I'm looking at doing that exact same move, mate. It's a very popular thinking there. A gunner predicting 2-0 victory for Spurs. Well, to be fair, though, I mean, you've got to be realistic. Even last season, you know, when Chelsea were in that really bad run, and they were facing a Spurs side with Conte that didn't look great anyway. I still thought Spurs would win that game. So, yeah, of course, Postecoglou's done a good job, but I think that's more of, how do I say this? It's more criticising how poor Chelsea are, if anything. Pedro Neto kind of ruined my game week transfer plans, but my team is Areola, Gay, Cash, Tsimikas, Salah, Diaby, Son, Madison, Gordon, Haaland, Captain, Archer, bench, Vicario, Kabore, Burns, Solanke. Yeah, it's a bit unfortunate, I think, for those that have Pedro Neto. Your team still looks pretty good, though. I have to say that. Also, Harry Maguire, not a big fan. The only reason I'd consider him is to fund another move. So in my situation, I can do Anderson to Maguire and then get in Raya in goal. But otherwise, it's a no for me. Anderson or Mitchell? Anderson if funds are no issue for me. Szoboszlai is a nice punt. Yeah, look, he's been great for Liverpool so far. But if I'm being honest, he's not the best FPL asset in my opinion. Dylan, Douglas Luiz to Palmer or Adingra? Considering fixtures, it has to be Adingra. Long term, though, it would be Palmer. So once the fixtures turn for Chelsea, I'd go there instead, and I think he's the better asset. Let's see what else we have. Turner to Johnston this week. Here we go. Yeah, I wish I could do that, to be honest. You think Foden and Alvarez start? Yes. Buy Saka and sell Bowen or Madison for a -4? No, neither. If anything, buy Saka next week. There's no need to do it this week, in my opinion. Salah, Alvarez, Son, Watkins, Cash, who can be captain? Salah for me. I just keep it simple. If you don't have Haaland, I'd go for Salah. Start Bowen or Douglas Luiz? Bowen. Mitoma or Hwang Hee-chan? Hwang Hee-chan. Snipe Masterpuss's team. Did a doggy to Gay. Start one. Gabriel Gordon. Yeah, I'd completely agree. I'd go for Gordon too. And your team is looking in good shape. Who should I start? Trippier or Gay? I just go for Trippier because he has so many avenues towards points. Mark Gay has a better chance of a clean sheet though. I'm not denying that. Let's see. Have I answered this? A doggy to Anderson and play Anderson and bench Trippier or just roll? I think I just roll and play Trippier. Yeah, Rami, you have asked the same question like 4 times, I'm not going to lie, so you're going to be put on timeout. Alexander, thank you very much. Do I go Diaby or Mbuma? I still prefer Diaby for now, up until Gameweek 13 or 15. Afterwards, though, Mbuma's the one, I think. So, short term, it's Diaby. Beyond that, once the fixture's clear for Brentford, I think Mbuma's the better asset, yeah. I prefer Hwang Hee-chan there, Leonardo. Areola or Turner? Areola. Christopher says, a new question. Have Areola and Turner, Lamptey, Gabriel, Burns, Tsimikas, Cash, Son, Salah, Mitoma, 2 free transfers. Should I make a transfer or not? I don't think you need to make a transfer. So you've got 0.5 million in the bank. I mean, what I would consider, like I said to someone else earlier, it might have been you, is Turner to Johnston. I'd do that, mate. I think it's really beneficial to you. Then you can start Johnston this week against Burnley. I think that's the play for you. You don't need to make an outfield transfer, but you would be making a big upgrade in the goalkeeper position. So, Christopher, Turner to Johnston is my recommendation. Hey, Dylan, will Haaland start? Yes. Will he score? That's the big question. It's a good chance for him, I think. Bench 1, please. Bruno, Maddison, Cher, Diaby. Fabian Cher. He's also a doubt for the game, and I think Arsenal will score. But, yeah, Cher. Buy Douglas Luiz for Neto? No. Not for me. I like Douglas Luiz in certain home games, like against Luton Town last week, but he hasn't returned away from home, if I'm not mistaken. So, no. I'd rather go to Gordon long-term, Hwang Hee-chan this week. So there's a few other options who are better for me. Or Burn to Gay. I do Douglas Luiz to Gordon / Hwang Hee-chan. A dog sell? I'd probably just sell him to get rid of the headache. And yes, I would go to Tsimikas. -4. Not a big fan of it, but if your other defenders aren't great, then why not, I think. Start 1, Saliba, Trippier, Zuma. Trippier. Alvarez or Haaland or Darwin. For this week, it's between Darwin and Alvarez, and, well, to be honest, in general. I'd probably go for Alvarez. That's my answer. Start Trippier or Pedro Porro? Trippier. 4-4-2 or -4 for Neto 2. But who's your 4th defender? That's the question. Which defender would you start? Then bench Pedro Neto. Watkins to Haaland and Son to Hwang Hee-chan, Luiz. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'd probably do Watkins to Haaland and Son to Hwang Hee-chan. But for those that have gone without Haaland, I mean, there's a reason why he did it. And I know that 16 points against Man United might have, given you cold feet, and now you want to get him back in for Bournemouth. I understand it, but I think for some people, I'm not saying for you exactly, but for some people watching who don't have Haaland, maybe just stick with it until Gameweek 16. That's potentially the way to go about it. But the transfers you suggest, I think they're absolutely fine, and I think they are upgrades overall. Neto to Hwang Hee-chan and Foster to Edouard or Nketiah? Well, I'd prefer Nketiah. I don't like him this week, but I do against Burnley in Gameweek 12. That's where he could do really well. In terms of your other move, I mean, yeah, you could just roll the other transfer this week, just in case, give you a bit more breathing room. But I think Nketiah is a buy in Gameweek 12, but he's not a long-term punt, so to speak. Yeah, FPL Diamond, I think that might be the right call. It's a difficult one. It's a good transfer, but for a hit, it's pushing it a little bit. But yeah, Lamptey to start over Burn? Possibly. I think Everton will score, though, to be quite frank. Who has the highest upside out of Gabriel, Lascelles, Maguire? This week, it would be Maguire, because he could just score a goal against Fulham from a set piece despite conceding. So, yeah, probably Maguire this week. Burn to Gay from -4. Not from -4, no. Thank you so much, Dylan. Thank you very much, Mickey. I appreciate it. And you too. Have a great weekend. Start Palmer or Joao Pedro? I'd go for Joao Pedro. Udogi to Tsimikas or Gay? Tsimikas. I'm 0.1 million short. Should I take out Archer to free up 0.2 million in the bank and roll the transfer next week? 0.1. Wait, how much is Johnston then? Is he? Oh, Jesus. Oh, yeah, because I was thinking of it literally where Turner is 4.1 million, but you probably brought him in at 4. And I think Johnston's now 4.6. Yeah, that's a bit of a shame. Yeah, I think that's a shout. And you can also make both transfers this week, potentially, if you're not backing the West Ham clean sheet. So I'm not against that. I'm going to go back to my team, by the way. But yeah, like I was talking about here, I was considering buying Ryan next week if I roll the transfer in Game Week 11 and then trying to find that money to facilitate Raya in for Turner. But it will be very difficult for me to achieve that without downgrading someone. And it could be Joachim Andersen, which isn't ideal at all, if I'm being quite honest with you. I don't like it one bit, and I'd have a relatively weak defence. So difficult decisions to be made over the next couple of weeks. And that's why I am considering a 1-week punt of Saka to Phil Foden. But actually, if we go back to Turner very quickly, this could be another issue with making that 1-week punt. So let me reset it because now it's going to have 0 million in the bank. So let's reset this game week. Let's reset it. So I've got 0.1 million in the bank. And yeah, let's put Lascelles in. We'll put him in for Joachim Andersen, boost the expected points. We'll also put Dan Burn potentially. But if we look at it this way, so let's say we go to Saka to Foden this week. Let's do that move now. I would have 1.1 million in the bank. And then next week, to then bring Saka back in, I would lose value, and then I'll have 0.2 million for real. So if we then do Foden back to Saka in Game Week 12, I would have lost 0.1 million in value because Saka did go up to 8.6 million whilst I brought him back into my team. So that's one potential issue. I could be priced out of buying Saka in Game Week 12 unless I pull the trigger early and make an early transfer next week. But there's also going to be Champions League action. There could be injuries, and that's my issue. So as much as I really like the Phil Foden punt, and I think he's going to do really well this week, it's also a question of potentially being priced out of a better option from Game Week 12 onwards in Saka, and that could be a big issue for me. So yeah, it's very difficult sometimes, FPL. It's not a simple game, as we all know. So there's definitely a lot to think about. If we go for a few different screens now very quickly, top of the FDR is Brighton with fantastic fixtures up until Game Week 16. Palace, Sheffield United, Fulham and Wolves are in the top 5. Man United also quite high up there in the FDR. Chelsea, Bournemouth, Luton, Aston Villa and Newcastle are in the bottom 5. And even West Ham and Liverpool are quite low down. Quite surprising to see West Ham there. But I still think some of the fixtures are pretty good, to be quite honest. Man City and Arsenal, even Spurs around mid-table. If we look at predicted points, the algorithm does favour Haaland this week. He is top. Son is second. And Salah is third. There's a huge difference there between Haaland and second place Heung-min Son. In Mbeumo's fourth. Then you've got Maddison, Wilson, Foden, Bruno Fernandes, Watkins and Wissa completing the top 10 for the predicted points in Fantasy Football Hub. If we also look at predicted price rises and falls, not much activity going on so far, but once the deadline passes, we should get some players at 100% or more. Raya is definitely one of them. I think he's a great goalkeeper option. I wish I had enough funds to upgrade Turner to him. In terms of those going down in price, you've got Udogie, Disasi, Kieran Trippier is close to a price for, which seems very surprising. But there you go. That's the way FPL is. Things change very quickly week on week. If we now look at the stats comparison between Salah and Erling Haaland, very, very similar stats in a lot of regards, but Haaland in terms of goal scoring, shots in the box, he's always going to lead. Also big chances, almost double the amount that Salah's had so far. Both of them with a decent number of key passes, but Salah has double. Also 9 big chances created to Haaland's 3. But overall, both of them have great numbers. They're both the best FPL assets for a reason. But Erling Haaland has even better numbers. He's at home, rested throughout midweek, no Carabao Cup action, while Salah played the 90. Luton haven't lost the game by more than 1 goal at home this season, and Bournemouth have conceded more goals, and also their expected goals conceded is the second worst in the league, if I'm not mistaken. So a lot of the facts and also a lot of the stats would point towards Haaland, but it's not that simple in FPL, as we all know. So let's now quickly go to Drafthound, a website I typically use, and they are suggesting Saka to Foden. It's really weird because whenever I think of a transfer, You know, I then check Drafthound, and it's either first or second in the suggested transfers that will pop up exactly. It's like it reads my mind, honestly, and I'm not even sure, you know. Saka to Foden in isolation looks great this week. I think Foden will outscore him if he starts. But then there's the question of the long-term impact. I could be priced out of buying Saka back in for Game Week 12, and I would be forced into an early transfer while also losing 0.1 million in value. So there's a lot to think about, of course, and FPL is definitely not simple. I wish it was, otherwise I'd be doing much better. Let's get back to your questions, of course. There might have been a few things I've not been able to go over. Don't do it. Yeah, I knew you'd say that, Waste Sing, but Foden has a great record against Bournemouth. 2 goals, 2 assists in 3 Premier League games. So effectively 2 transfers for Saka. Do you think the possible gains are worth 2 transfers? Yeah, that's true. Because even Saka could get an assist, gets 5 points against Newcastle, whilst Foden gets 11. You gain 6 points in the short term, but what about in Game Week 12 and being priced out? That's how I ultimately weigh it up, and that's a big question. Diaz to Palmer, Solanke to Nunez for free. Yeah, I don't mind that at all, actually. I really like those transfers. Palmer's not a great option over the next couple, but then again, playing the false 9 role, potentially in these bigger games, on penalties, he could still do well against Tottenham and the like. Aranya says, hi Dylan, would you start Anderson over any of Son, Maddison, Saka or Trippier? Potentially over Trippier. Potentially. But that's it. Udogie to Gay or Lamptey or hold 1 free transfer, says Dutta. I would do Udogie to Gay. Rolling isn't a bad idea, and Udogie could be back, but I'd probably just get rid of the headache and move on. Rashford out, some player under 9 million, -4 or stay Marcus. I'd probably just get rid, even for a hit. Under 9 million, Foden is a great 1-week punt. Longer term, you could consider Jarrod Bowen, Saka, of course, James Maddison. So it really depends on what you're looking for, long term or a short term punt. Start Trippier or Gay. I'd probably just go for Trippier, to be honest. Jeremy says, Dylan, I have 3 defenders and Casemiro who are injured on my bench. Should I take a -4 hit to replace one of them? I have 3 defenders. Who are the 3 defenders, though? As for Casemiro, he's not an FPL option in general, so I'd either downgrade him to fund other moves, or I'd be looking to upgrade him and go to even Gordon or Hwang Hee-chan. Bench one of Anderson, Trippier and Tsimikas. If it's me, I'd probably bench Anderson. Burn to Tsimikas, yeah, I think that's a good move. I still like Burn long term, though. Don't get me wrong. Hi, Dylan, should I sell Burn for Diaby for this game week? No, I wouldn't sell Burn. I have Gabriel, Veltman, Tsimikas, Cash, Lascelles this week. I'm playing Veltman, Tsimikas, Cash this week. What should I do with Veltman? Well, ultimately, I would sell. I don't think he's worth it. I'd be looking to upgrade him, so I'd maybe consider doing Veltman to Mark Gay. I think that's a good move for you, or even Gabriel. Well, you got Gabriel, sorry. Yeah, I'd probably look at considering going to Mark Gay. Your defense in general is good, though. It really is. Chase says, who do I start? Cash, Burn, Gabriel, Anderson, Lamptey, or should I take a -4 for Tsimikas? I think I'd just start what you have, mate. I think starting Cash, Gabriel, and Anderson is completely fine, to be honest. I don't think it's worth... I mean, Tsimikas is one of the few defenders this week that could be worth a -4, but with Man City in the next 3 game weeks, Brentford isn't the easiest. Yeah. Start Morris, Pape Sarr, or Udogie. I'd probably go for Udogie, just in case. Abhishek says start 1, Maguire, Lascelles, Taylor, Archer. It's between Maguire and Taylor, and I'd probably go for... You know what? I'd probably go for Taylor. Drafthound, so there is a free version, but you won't have access to all the tools, and in order to do that, you will have to be a pro pay-tier member. But I think there is an offer right now where for pretty much less than £1 per week, you will gain access to the fixture ticker, also the predicted points and everything, suggested transfers, the optimization tool, and that's for less than £1 per week from now until the end of the season. It's a special offer. Check it out if you are interested. Can you order my bench? Burn, Archer, and Lamptey. Difficult one, but maybe Lamptey first, Burn second, Archer third, maybe. Simon says, is Alvarez to Haaland for a -8 worth it? Would they need to do Son to Hwang and Trippier to Anderson? Not for me, no. You're downgrading Trippier and Son, and yeah, Hwang Hee-chan and Anderson look great, but for a -8 hit, I don't think it's worth it, mate. I know Haaland is amazing. He's probably going to do really well this week, but Alvarez can still do well himself. and you're also getting rid of Son, who's a great captaincy option this week, and Trippier. I don't think it's worth it. Hi, Dylan. Would you start Anderson over any of Son, Maddison, Saka, or Trippier? Yeah, I answered your question. I'd start him over Trippier potentially. Who would you sell to get Tsimikas out of Porro or Trippier? I'd rather sell Pedro Porro, to be honest, and keep Trippier. What else do we have? So yeah, like I said, if there are any questions that I've gone over already, I'm not going to go through them again. Thank you very much, Punjabi. I appreciate it. Hey, Maddison to Bowen. As much as I like Bowen, I don't think I'd sell Maddison. Why is the team more than 100 million? It's just team value, mate. No, that's literally it. Gabriel, Bowen, Udogie, who to sell for Tsimikas? Udogie. Should I swap Alvarez to Darwin or Watkins? Not this week. No, not for me. Hwang Hee-chan in for Chukwuemeka, is that it? Or take Udogie out for a defender? I do Hwang Hee-chan for Chukwuemeka. Grealish or Doku? Neither. Can I say neither? Because I don't really rate either of them FPL-wise. If I had to pick one, it's probably Doku, but not a big fan of either. Start Archer or Burn this week? Probably Dan Burn. Martinelli, Diaby for Foden and Hwang. Can bring Diaby back next week. Not too sure about that, because you might bring Diaby back next week, but then you might want to sell him again for Game Week 13 or 15. So not too sure about that kind of chopping and changing. If you are getting rid of Diaby, just get rid of him permanently, in my opinion. Lamptey starts for Brian this week. Honestly, not too sure. And either way, I think Everton score. Start Bowen or Saka? Saka. Start 2, Palmer, Gabriel, Taylor, Burn. I would go for Taylor and probably Cole Palmer. Can you suggest a cheap midfield option to replace Anderson? How cheap are we talking, though? Because if you can stretch to it, I'd say Gordon or Hwang Hee-chan are the best. If you can't go to them, then Adingra or Palmer is your best bet. Start Gabriel Taylor. I'd go for Taylor. A lot of Taylor questions this week. Start Burn, Gabriel Taylor. Again, I'd go for Taylor. Hi, Dylan. Start 2, Bowen, Matoma, and Diaby. Probably Bowen and Diaby, but it's really difficult. No, I haven't sold Saka. What you see is what you get, really. I haven't made any transfer so far. Martinelli, 1 free transfer, 0.2 million in the bank roll. Yeah, look, Martinelli's a good option against Burnley. He played really well last week. He should have got a return. But I do think there are better midfielders out there. Jarrod Bowen is one of them. But also Phil Foden this week, although Martinelli long-term is probably better. Dylan, the players injured on my bench are Zuma, Udogie, and Casemiro. Yeah, I'd probably look at taking a -4 hit to replace them. So if you can, Casemiro to Hwang Hee-chan, and then maybe Udogie to Mark Gay. Yeah, Saga, I answered that question. How accurate is expected points on Drafthound? It has Vicario at 3.2 expected points and Areola 2.3 expected points, which makes it lean towards Vicario. But I also prefer Vicario, just for reference. Now, yeah, I don't completely agree with the predicted points, I'll be honest, and the same goes for Fantasy Football Hub or any algorithm you kind of mention, but it's a good foundation and basis overall, and I do prefer Vicario. My prediction is 2-0 to Spurs, and also a 2-2 draw between West Ham and Brentford, so that does somewhat reflect my prediction of Vicario having high expected points, although I don't necessarily agree with 3.2, of course. Haaland could be rested this week. Hopefully not. Pickford or Turner? Probably I'd go for Pickford, dare I say. Not too sure about that. Play Lascelles or Evans? Evans. Best Udogie replacement? I think Mark Gay's a fine option. Now look, ideally for me it's Tsimikas. So the way I'd rank it is Tsimikas first, Gabriel second, and probably Crystal Palace defender third. Start Gabriel, Lamptey, or Archer. I'd be tempted by Lamptey this week, but yeah, as I said before, I don't expect Everton to keep Brighton to keep a clean sheet against Everton. Salah or Nunez captain? I'd go for Salah. Neto to Hwang Hee-chan or Matoma? I'd go for Hwang Hee-chan at the moment. What do you think about Edouard? Not a big fan. He had a good start to the season, but with the injuries Crystal Palace have, I know Eze is nearing a return, but yeah, I just wouldn't go there, to be honest. I have Sterling, but I think he'll blank again. Yeah, I think it is worth a -4 hit. You can go to Bowen, Phil Foden as a 1-week punt, Saka long-term. There's a lot of midfielders you can go to. Bench Gordon for Gay? I think I would as well. EY says best replacement for Neto, Mitoma, Mbuma, Ward-Prowse, Hwang Hee-chan or Eze. Yeah, for me, it'd be Hwang Hee-chan. Long term, though, so what you could do is buy Hwang Hee-chan now, and then from Game Week 14 or 15 onwards, buy Mbuma. Is not having Son a worry? Well, look, you can't cover everyone. Let me just put it that way. I also don't have Trippier. That's a worry. But it's all about prioritizing. I wish I could keep Son and also have Saka at the same time, but I also had to make a move and find funds to buy Bowen in for Ward-Prowse, who's playing a deeper role. And in order to do that, I had to make a few downgrades. One of them was a doggy to Tsimikas, which was a good transfer, and the other one was Son to Saka. And I've already got Maddison, so the way I'm looking at it, long term, I should benefit. I've got a better overall squad, but going without Son isn't ideal. Of course it isn't. 7.7 million best replacement for Neto. Bowen for me. Messi Ballon d'Or, how do you feel? Look, you know my feelings, you know, if you've watched this channel long enough. For me, he's the best player in the world. Haaland had a great season personally, best goal scorer. But in terms of the best overall player, for me, it was Messi. What he did in the World Cup was exceptional. And people forget, for PSG, he was their best player. He also, I think, set an assist record in Ligue 1. I think it was the joint top most assists, and he only played 28 games there. And he also got 15-plus goals and was their best player. Was probably robbed of at least 5 or 10 assists from Mbappe alone. So, look, for me, Messi was the best player in the world. He deserved it. It's probably his last Ballon d'Or. And from now on, it's going to be interesting to see who wins it between Haaland and Mbappe. Best replacement for Neto, Mitoma, Mbuma, Ward-Prowse, we've covered. Hey, Dylan, start 1. I'd go for Taylor there, Keenan. Would you start Almiron from -4 this week? Difficult because he just scored against Man United, and over the last couple of games he has been decent, but I think there are better midfielders out there. And who would I sell him to necessarily? Mitoma's still one of them. I also like Gordon long term and Hwang Hee-chan. So I would consider Hwang Hee-chan potentially. I know Douglas Luiz hasn't returned in any away game, but he has returned in every home game. Yeah, of course, he's not going to blank in every single away game this season, but I think there is something about Villa Park where he just thrives, of course. Neto to Hwang Hee-chan or Mitoma? Hwang Hee-chan for me. Adnan puts his team. So 1 free transfer, 0.7 million in the bank. So in terms of transfers to make, your team looks pretty good. Maybe your goalkeeper could be improved. Mate, honestly, if you have enough money, Turner to Raya is perfect. If you don't have the money, then maybe Turner to Johnston. I think you're in a good position there, to be honest. I really like that. If you have Foster, if that's the striker, I think it is, right? You've got Watkins, Haaland, and Foster. I would consider downgrading Foster to Archer and then using those extra funds to upgrade Turner to Raya. I think that would be great for you, honestly. Welcome, Tarek. Best replacement, Amith says, for Neto. For me, long-term is Gordon, and short-term is Hwang Hee-chan. Take your pick, depending on what you're looking for. Thank you, Leonardo. Good morning, all the way from Trinidad and Tobago. Thank you very much. Who would you bench, Haaland or Maddison? I'd bench Haaland from those two, if I'm being quite honest. Now, Fulham is a good fixture. I think you could score there, but I'm not benching Maddison, really, in any game week. So if you're asking between those two, yeah, Maddison has to start. No news, D190. And by the way, if you see any news at all or leaks, let me know in the live chat with any links and I will check it out and we can verify the source. I regret selling Maddison for Mitoma. Yeah, look, I don't blame you, but Mitoma has the fixtures. There's probably a bit of, well, there's a reason why he did that transfer, ultimately. Your thoughts on Doku? A lot of potential, great dribbler, very exciting to watch, very direct. But FPL-wise, I don't think you'll get the minutes necessary to be a great option. I have him in UCL Fantasy, and he hasn't done well for me at all. And the 1 week I didn't have him, because I played the Limitless, he ended up scoring off the bench. So he will be frustrating. But in terms of overall player, there's no denying his ability and potential. But FPL-wise, he's a skip for now, unfortunately. Martinelli or Saka? Saka, definitely. Who do I start? Anderson, Burn, or Taylor? It would be Joachim Anderson. Start Gabriel or Burn, and why? I'd say Gabriel because I personally think there's a better chance of an Arsenal clean sheet than Newcastle. It's a difficult one, to be honest, because I'm kind of stuck, 2-1 Newcastle, 2-1 Arsenal, or, there's so many scorelines that I've kind of, predicted in the last day or so. So it's very difficult, but I'd probably favour Gabriel over Burn. I also think he has better attacking threat. Webster and Baldock over Pau Torres. Not necessarily, to be honest. I don't think so. I just don't back Sheffield United in any game at the moment. Pickford to Johnston or Roll? I'd go to Johnston. Thank you, Punjabi. A doggy to Taylor to save funds. I'm not a big fan of Taylor. And look, if it's just to save funds and, you know, be able to fund another move, fair enough. But ideally, I'd only have one really cheap defender at 4.2 million or below. And in my case, I've already got Lascelles. So just be careful that you don't have two really cheap defenders, because long term, that could weaken your defense and your defensive depth. Best replacement for Almiron, I'd say Hwang Hee-chan or Gordon. My defense is Trippier, Romero, Cash, Maguire, Taylor. Honestly, I've kind of surprised by this, the amount of defender questions we're getting this week. But my answer would be Trippier, Cash, and Romero. I have James Ward-Prowse and Anderson Newcastle and 2 free transfers. Who to get instead of James Ward-Prowse? And should I spend my second transfer on Burn or Anderson? Well, in terms of my overall preference, it is to upgrade the midfield. But guessing, you know, I'm kind of guessing here, of course. I'm assuming you have 3 forwards of high quality. So it could be like Darwin, Watkins, and Haaland, to name 3 particular players. And if that's the case, you don't necessarily need a 5th midfielder. So if that's the case, then I would be looking to just focus on upgrading James Ward-Prowse, and then you can focus on one of Burn or Anderson long term. If I'm being completely honest, I think Burn is the better asset to keep long term. Anderson's also injured. He could go down in value, and I personally would prefer having a 5th midfielder. So what would I do? I'd look to do James Ward-Prowse to Hwang Hee-chan, Gordon, or if you can stretch to it, maybe a more expensive player, and then look to upgrade Anderson to even Palmer or Adingra. Hello again. Yeah, I didn't see that. The message was retracted, but I think I've answered it. Why not Nunez? I just don't have him. I mean, you can't cover everyone. It's as simple as that. People are saying, oh, you're scared of not going with Son or Trippier. You just can't cover everyone, mate. And I'm not going to sell Watkins to Nunez for 1 week. Captaining Salah at Luton over Haaland. Not a bad shout, mate. Honestly, not. But the reason why I'm going for Haaland right now is because 1, he's at home. 2, almost double the amount of big chances compared to Salah. 3, Bournemouth have worse numbers in terms of goals conceded and expected goals conceded compared to Luton. 4, Luton Town haven't lost the game by more than 1 goal at home. And of course, I'd expect Liverpool to, and I think Salah will do well. But number 5, I also think you look at recent form, and yes, Salah's been more consistent, but I think in the last 2 games, Haaland's got 2 braces, basically, against Young Boys and Man United, and add an assist on top of it. So I just think everything's pointing towards a Haaland haul, if I'm being completely honest. And I'm looking at both games, and whilst I think Liverpool and City both score 3+, I think City are more likely to go absolutely ballistic in Game Week 11. So look, it's a difficult one. I think the arguments for Salah is that he's a midfielder, so an extra point for scoring a goal and the clean sheet. And he's also been more consistent than Haaland this season. Areola, Cash, Tsimikas, Anderson. Yeah, that's completely fine. Bench Diaby, Saka or Bowen. Probably Diaby. It's a difficult one, mate, honestly. Done Neto for Hwang. Should also do Almiron to Matuma for a -4. I don't mind that. I don't mind it, but if it was me, I'd probably just stick with Almiron, I think. Because you would need Mitoma to score a goal to make that -4 hit worthwhile. And even then, you could just be getting 2 points max. So I'd probably stick with Almiron there in that scenario. Should I swap Neto to Mbuma or Bowen? I'd personally go to Bowen. Would you transfer out Son for anyone other than Salah or Haaland this week? No. Honestly, no. Would you get Bowen or Foden? This week, it would be Foden. So as a 1 week punt, Foden. Long-term Bowen all day long. Maddison to Foden, then Foden to Saka next game week. Yeah, I think that's completely fine. I had to take a -16 because my mate ruined my team by making multiple changes. That's not well, okay, I'm not going to say he's not a good friend, but that is a pretty bad move from your friend, mate. Honestly, I'm not going to lie. Is there no way you can cancel that by playing the wild card or something? I'm assuming you've played it already, so that is a big shame. Hopefully you can make up for it, but very weird thing for your friend to do, not going to lie. Domenico says, hola hermano, saludos. Igualmente, gracias por ver el video. Play Porro or Trippier and Son or Bowen, says Cal. I'd play Trippier and Son. Don't bench Son, honestly. No matter what you do, do not bench Son, trust me. Cheap forward to punt before wildcard. Yeah, Ferguson's not a bad shout. I think Nketiah Game Week 12 looks great, but I wouldn't buy him now. So yeah, Ferguson's a good shout, actually. I'm looking at other options. Cheap forwards, maybe Edouard, but I don't really trust Palace offensively. Thoughts on Tsimikas? He's a buy. I talked about him in the Game Week 9 transfer tips video, and I said he's a buy. I bought him myself, and I'm enjoying the points. I think he's a good long-term buy. Start 1, Borro, Lascelles, or Taylor. Borro. Weed, it means in Spanish. Anyway, should I bench Share? Yeah, I would, but it depends who you're benching him for. Already have Johnston in goal, so don't really want to bring another Palace player in, so maybe you're doggy to Taylor. Yeah, I understand that. Max 4.8 million, not Tsimikas. I mean, Maguire's a consideration for you as well. Yeah, I can see why you want to do that. To be honest, mate, I'd look at Lascelles. It's not great this week, but facing Bournemouth next week, potentially in the team long-term with Botman suffering a setback, I think Lascelles is the best 4 million defender in the game. Amif says Areola, Cash, Tsimikas, Anderson, Salah, Son, and Boomer, Bowen, Neto, Alvarez, Haaland, Neto out 4. One free transfer, 7.7 million in the bank. I would consider Foden, mate. I think as a 1 week punt, I'd love it. And then afterwards, you can sell him to Mitoma, or you can go to Hwang Hee-chan / Gordon. So, yeah, I think I'd go to Foden, mate. The doggy to Tsimikas or roll? Tsimikas. Gordon to Hwang says SD. Good short-term punt, but I'll be honest with you, long-term, I do prefer Gordon. Pedro Neto to Jordan Ayew, not for me. Might work this week, but I just don't trust Ayew long-term. Look at his goal record, not just this season, but throughout his Palace career. It's awful. Not for me. Thoughts on going Diaz to Mitoma and Haaland to Darwin? I absolutely love it, honestly. I think Haaland to Darwin alone is worth the hit, so yeah. Is captain in Nunez and vice-captain Salah good? I don't mind it. I'd personally go for Salah, but Darwin Nunez is in great form. Diaby to Hwang, Game Week 11, then Maddison to Saka, Game Week 12. Yeah, I don't mind it, but just bear in mind, if you sell Diaby now, I wouldn't bring him back, because in Game Week 13, Tottenham away, Game Week 15, I think it's Man City, and poor fixtures afterwards, so just bear that in mind, but I do like that. Welcome, Redmen. Play Borro or Anderson? I'd play Anderson. Domenico says, hola hermano, saludos. Free transfer Alvarez to Haaland with Maddison to Hwang Hee-chan for a -4, or do Morris to Darwin, captain? I would do Morris to Darwin. Yeah, I think I'd do that. The Fantasy Football Lad says, hey, how are you? Went with a -8. Interesting. Neto to Mitoma. James Ward-Prowse to Diaby. Anderson to Gabriel. Borro to Tsimikas. Thoughts? So I'm guessing Anderson to Gabriel is to fund the other moves. Not a huge fan of it, because I think Anderson's better this week, but long-term, Gabriel is a great option, and overall, really good transfers. Borro to Tsimikas as well, I think that's an upgrade, but once again, you know, 2 of the defenders you're getting rid of have a good chance for clean sheet this week, just to put it into perspective. Overall, though, you are upgrading your team. Christopher says, I have 0.5 million in the bank, have Lamptey, Burn, and Gabriel, 2 free transfers. What should I do? Well, I would look to upgrade Lamptey if possible, but you'd be very limited there, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, you could consider Mitchell. If Lamptey's 4 million, if I'm not mistaken, then yeah, you can go to Mitchell. But, yeah. Look, overall, you know, Gabriel and Burn are good defenders, and you could just start one of them this week, and it's not too bad. Yeah, Haaland said he'll do Drogba and Lineker celebration when he scores this week. Oh, yeah, that's true. I wonder which one he's going to do first. Let's do a prediction. I think he'll do Drogba. That's my prediction. Yeah. I can't even remember what Lineker celebration was, if I'm being honest. Yeah, I think I'll do the Drogba knee slide. Bowen or Foden, says Cal. Well, overall it's Bowen. This week, Foden, without a shadow of a doubt. So it just depends on what you're looking for. A Redman says, quick question. When you take a hit for Haaland, but have to get rid of Alvarez in the process, what's your other transfer, though, to, you know, in order to take that hit? Overall, I probably would. 1 hit is fine. A -8 or above, though, especially when you're selling Son and Trippier, that's where I think it's too far. Why is no one getting Mitoma? Trust me, there are people getting Mitoma, or they have them already, but people aren't talking about him that much because he's been a bit underwhelming recently. That's why. Do you think Udogie will play? Yes, but he's also a very risky pick, let's put it that way. You know, he's a constant doubt, and as a result, if it was me, I'd probably look to sell now. Lascelles, Maguire, or Branthwaite for the next 5 game weeks? Lascelles. Yeah. Done Trippier to Trent this week. Feels like he could explode. True, but then it's Brentford and Man City, and Trippier faces Bournemouth next week, so I think it'll just ebb and flow either way, and ultimately, I would prefer Trippier. Play Areola or Leno? I'd go for Areola. Bench one of Palmer, Maddison, and Saka. Palmer. I'd bench him. Buy Darwin, Matoma, or Foden, Matoma, Mbeumo, Diaby. I'd buy Darwin. Or Foden, Matoma, Mbeumo, Diaby. Difficult one, but I think Darwin and Matoma look best, if that's what the question is. Dilip puts his team. I have 2 transfers, need to use 1. Yeah, if possible, let me know how much money you have in the bank when you offer these scenarios, just so I know how much you're, working with. Because what I suggest off the top of my head is Turner to Johnston or Raya, but I also have a feeling you might not have enough money. And if that's the case, you need to downgrade something else, and that isn't ideal, to be quite honest with you. So, yeah, if possible, I would upgrade Turner to Raya, then start him. Well, maybe not start him this week, but from Game Week 12 onwards, I'd start him every single week. If you don't have enough money but can go to Johnston, I'd buy Johnston and start him in Game Week 12. And I think that's a great transfer for you there, Dilip. 7S says, I only have 1 free transfer. Have Wissa first sub, Kabore second. Should I sell Diaz or Udogie first? Difficult one, because you don't know the exact situation with Diaz. Is he in the right frame of mind to start a game? Not so sure. I'd probably sell Diaz first, to be honest. Start James Ward-Prowse or Wissa? James Ward-Prowse. Thoughts on benching Saka this game week? Not ideal. Now, I was considering, and I'm still doing it, selling Saka to Foden for a 1-week punt, but I wouldn't bench Saka if I had him. Definitely not. He's very consistent. Adit says 2 free transfers. Should I do Burn to Gay considering the good Palace fixtures? I don't have Trippier. Yeah, I would consider it, to be fair. And you can always buy Burn back. Just remember, Newcastle play Bournemouth away next week. Gabriel to Tsimikas. Not really sure about that, because Gabriel plays Burnley next week. Yeah, you might be a bit fearful of benching there, but I think you'll start. I like Tsimikas. I think he's better than Gabriel over the next 5, but yeah, it's a difficult one. I'd probably say yes, just about, but I still like Gabriel. What's less crazy, Trent captain or Foden captain? They're both good choices. They're not my favourites, but I think if I had to pick one, it's Foden. I think that's the one. Bench Martinelli, says the Fantasy Football Lab in answer to Kelvin. Yeah, don't bench Son. Honestly, just don't even consider benching Son. Gay or Anderson? If money is no issue, then Joachim Anderson, but when you do take value into account, Mark Gay at 0.4 million less, yeah, I wouldn't mind it, to be honest. I feel Haaland is going to go ballistic this week. Is it worth getting him in for Nunez and transferring Son and Saka out? But that's the problem, Aranya. Yes, Haaland might go ballistic, but the question is, you're getting rid of Son, Saka, and Darwin. 3 really good options at the moment, especially Son and Saka. I don't think it's worth it. As much as I think Haaland can go ballistic, Son, Saka, Nunez can cover you that way. And also the 8-point hit taken into account, not for me. It also depends who you're getting in for Son, Saka, and Nunez, of course, but I'm assuming there's going to be some big downgrades there, and I don't like it, so I'm going to say no. Ayush says, hey, I'm chasing in my mini league, wildcarded in Game Week 10. Should I transfer Watkins to Nunez? Thank you very much, by the way, and apologies, I've just got an allergy or something at the moment. Yeah, I'm also in a similar situation in my mini league. I'm very far behind, but, there's always a situation like that. Watkins to Nunez, I like it a lot for this week alone, but I don't think I'd make that move. If anything, I'd look to sell Watkins in 13 or 15 and probably to Alvarez instead. Ready for City's fixture run from 16 onwards. Look, I don't mind it as a 1-week punt, but I'd probably stick with Watkins, to be honest. Hi, Dylan. Should I start Bodra or Trippier? So I think Spurs have a better chance of a clean sheet, but Trippier is the best defender in the game. So, difficult one. If I had to pick, it's probably... I'm going to go for Pedro Porro. Just about. We have been streaming for over an hour. If you haven't already, smash the like button and subscribe for new. It'd be greatly appreciated. And we are trying to get to new goals such as 22,000 subscribers. So, yeah, let's try to get this stream to over 100 likes. I'm not sure exactly where we're at the moment. I'm going to have a quick look very soon. But, yeah, as we keep on saying, subscribe to the channel. It really helps us out in the algorithm. It's an early morning, I'm not going to lie to you. It's a struggle waking up at these times. But here we are. We've got over 100 people watching. And yeah, we can definitely get to 100 likes. So we're just 24 away. Let's keep on smashing the like button. It'd be greatly appreciated. And we've gone through hundreds of questions already in just an hour. Thoughts on Adingra? At 5 million and below, one of the better options in the midfield, but not my favourite overall. You could consider Dingra for now and then sell to Palmer in the weeks to come. Is Gabriel okay to bring in? Already have Gay and Tsimikas. Yeah, he's okay to bring in, but I'd only buy him in 12 onwards. I don't think I'd buy him this week against Newcastle. Start to Trippier, Gordon, and Gay, says Josh. Trippier and Gay, I think. Udogi to Lascelles and Chukwuemeka to Hwang Hee-chan. Yep, don't want to wait for Udogi to drop in price. That's fair enough. I don't think Lascelles is particularly worth it this week, but long-term it should pay off, especially if Botman continues to be out. I started Palmer instead of Joao Pedro. I mean, I'd personally start Joao Pedro, but it's not the worst decision in the world. You know, if Chelsea do something and score a goal, Palmer is very likely to be involved. Durgic says play one. Taylor from Bournemouth, is it? Yeah, I'm just going to go for Gabriel there, if that's the case. Bench one, Trippier, Pedro Porro, Nketiah. I'd bench Nketiah. Tsimikas or Anderson, says Islam. Tsimikas. EY says Matoma, Gordon, Hwang Hee-chan, James Ward-Prowse, and Boomer, or Eze for Neto. I think I answered this. My answer was Hwang Hee-chan. Gordon's the best long-term, but if I'm looking for a short-term punt over the next 5, it's Hwang Hee-chan. Thank you, Ayush. Best of luck, Dylan. You're at 83 likes. Need a punt for sure. Yeah, I just checked it now. Thank you very much. If not Watkins to Nunez, I might do Saka to Foden, like you said. Yeah, Watkins to Nunez isn't bad for this week, but I'd rather do Saka to Foden, so long as you have enough money in the bank to reverse that transfer in Game Week 12. Would you do Maddison to Foden for 1 week before getting Saka? Yes, I would. The thing is, though, Maddison is still a great option against Chelsea. I'm not going to lie to you. Burn to Gay. 1 free transfer and 0 million in the bank. Backline consists of Burn, Gabriel, Cash, Taylor, and Lamptey. Yeah. And then what you can do next week, Fionki, is do Lamptey or even Taylor to Lascelles. Mullins says, hi. Pick 2 out of Cash, Gay, and Matoma. Pick 2. Yeah, I'd pick Cash and... Ooh, yeah, I can see your dilemma. You know what? It's so difficult for me to say this, but I might go for Gay and Matoma. It's kind of weird because it's always in those weeks where you don't really expect much from Cash. That's where he just delivers a big return. So it's an interesting one. I'd probably stick with Gay and Matoma. Mac A says 2 free transfers, Trippier plus Gordon to Gay Saliba / Matoma and Bumo, or Archer to Mabama to do Maddison to Saka in Game Week 12 will have the exact amount. I would do the second set of transfers, I think. So Archer to Mabama and Maddison to Saka. But I still like Maddison long-term. And if you don't have Son, you might be missing out on Spurs there, in my opinion. So it really depends. What about Mitchell from Palace? I mentioned him earlier. I don't mind him at all. I do think Gay's better for bonus points. It's a 0.1 million difference. It's not really a big amount, you know, but yeah, I think Gay is a slightly better FPL option. Hi, would you start Gabriel, Maguire, or Taylor? I'd start Taylor, I think, from those 3. Thank you very much, James. Should I swap Alvarez to Nunez, says Starlord? No. Unless you don't think Alvarez starts, or we get confirmation or a leak that, suggests that, I'd stick with Alvarez. Sell Udogi and Burn, or Udogi and Ward-Prowse. I have to start Burn or Ward-Prowse. I would sell Udogi and Ward-Prowse. Lamptey or Burn first sub. Lamptey. Start Burn or Saliba. Saliba. Thoughts on making a goalkeeper move for you? Yeah, that's what I want to do, Simon. I completely agree. So if we actually go back to it, and by the way, as I said earlier, let me know your thoughts in the live chat. We're going to go to FPL.Team. In Game Week 12... So yeah, let me just reset this again because I did the transfers, didn't I? So let's reset the game week and let's reset last week too. So yeah, Game Week 12, 2 free transfers. This is how my team could look like. Let's just quickly set this up and optimize it a little bit. So we're going to put Burn in for Joachim Andersen, potentially bench Tsimikas and go all out on Newcastle. So Ariel against Forest isn't too bad, but what I'd want to do is go from Turner to Raya or Johnston. But in order to afford Raya, I need 0.7 million. Where do I find that? Big question. I don't want to sell Haaland. I don't want to sell Salah. I don't want to sell Saka against Burnley. Maddison, no, I don't want to sell him. Jarrod Bowen, to be honest, I don't want to sell him. Maybe I'm being a bit stubborn, but I just don't really see many players I'd want to sell. Maybe Joachim Andersen, but Palace have some very good fixtures. And this is the best time to own Joachim Andersen and any Palace defender. Tsimikas, I definitely don't want to sell. Archer, there's not much I can do with that. So really, it could be Watkins that I could downgrade, but that's a transfer I'd want to make in Game Week 13 or 15, rather than when he faces Fulham and Bournemouth in the next 3 from Game Week 12 onwards. So it's a difficult one, but Raya would be a certain upgrade. I'd start him pretty much every single week. But then how do I find that 0.7 million? That is the big question. So maybe you could say, you know what, Dylan, just get Foden this week for Saka, go without Saka in Game Week 12. But I'm not so sure if that's worth it, to be honest. For those wondering, Anderson or Gay, Gay is cheaper, but Anderson offers more attacking threat and bonus. I completely agree. Is it worth the extra 0.4 million? That's the big question. I think if funds are no issue, I'd go for Anderson. But if budget's tight, if you think that 0.4 million can go a long way in terms of upgrading another position, just go for Mark Gay. Smash the likes, everyone. Thank you. Twister Parky, Jota or Nunez. Should I get Haaland? If possible, yeah. I have 2 free transfers. What to do, says Rohan or Rehan. Thinking of Lord of the Rings. Areola, Cash, Pedro Porro, Trippier, Salah, Saka, Son, Maddison, Bowen, Watkins, Alvarez, Bench, Johnston, Burn, Foster, Gusto. So looking at your team, I think, yeah, I mean, starting Areola over Johnston, I'd reconsider that, to be honest. I'd go for Johnston. Gusto, I'd look to upgrade if possible. You could also downgrade Foster to a cheaper striker, and that could give you more funds to do other moves, Rehan. So I'd start Johnston over Areola, possibly downgrade Foster to Archer, and then use the extra funds to then upgrade Gusto to potentially Tsimikas. I think that's a great set of moves for you. Odegaard to Foden, then next week, Haaland and Foden for a hit for Saka and Nketiah. Yep. Okay, selling Haaland and Foden to Saka and Nketiah. I wouldn't sell Haaland for a hit to Nketiah. Let me just make that very clear. I wouldn't do that. But Odegaard to Foden this week, I like it a lot. I don't think it's worth buying Nketiah for Haaland, though. Definitely not. Udogie to Tsimikas or Gay? Tsimikas. Who to buy? Saka to Bowen or Foden? Well, this week, as a 1 week punt, it'd be Foden. After that, should I get Saka back? Yes, I would, if possible. Yeah, Nketiah as a forward isn't bad, but that's just a 1 week punt, really, to be fair. Lineker's goal celebrations, a packet of cheese and onion crisps. Fair enough. Huang in for James Ward-Prowse, says Jason. Yeah, I like that. Start Powell or Maguire? I would start Maguire. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, Durgesh, I'd start Taylor. I've said that in a lot of scenarios post today. The Fantasy Football Lad says, la situación con mis arqueros me tiene preocupado. Sí, igualmente. He oído rumores de que Turner perderá la titularidad. Con Turner siento que West Ham es muy frágil defensivamente. What would you do going forward? No, also I'm looking at the same thing. So if I roll the transfer this week, my priority is the goalkeeper. But my issue is finding the funds to then get Raya or Johnston in goal. That's my big issue. And that's why, in order to get Raya or Johnston, I could do something like this and then go Anderson to Maguire. That isn't ideal, if I'm being quite honest with you. Yeah. If I could do something like this, where I do Anderson down to Gay and then bring Raya, that'd be perfect. But I can't. I really can't. So, yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. I might have to get Maguire in, start him against Luton. But yeah, it's just, I'm not a big fan of this, man. I really am not. I want to get Raya or Johnston, and I might have to reconsider my approach. So maybe instead of Raya, just go for Johnston. And then with 0.2 million in the bank, I'd have 4.4. That's just not ideal. It really isn't. So yeah, I think I'm just going to have to find a way to find the moves I want to make. And it's not great. Doesn't look great, but ultimately I could do something like this. Let me know if you would do this, by the way, in the live chat. Just say yes or no. Would you bring in Raya and a cheap defender, or Joachim Andersen and Turner to upgrade the squad in the long term? Getting rid of Andersen is certainly not ideal, but I would bench him in Game Week 12 anyways, and probably start Lascelles and Burn, or even possibly start Tsimikas over Joachim Andersen anyway. So it's difficult decisions to be made, but I think long term the goalkeeper needs to be addressed. Areola only 1 clean sheet this season. Turner could lose his spot. I completely agree with the Fantasy Football Lad who said that in Spanish just now. So yeah, it's an interesting one. Start 2, Watkins and Boomer Bowen. I'd start Watkins and probably Bowen, but yeah, it's difficult to bench in Boomer. You're thinking Boomer or Bowen will get more points. I'm going to stick with Bowen, but it's or coin toss, to be quite honest with you. Dylan, you can sell Diaby to Gordon in Game Week 12. Yeah, that is true. That is a good shout. And also, Diaby's long-term fixtures aren't great. It's just Diaby faces Fulham at home, and he could do really well that week. So it could be short-term pain for long-term gain. But that is a good shout. I do like that. And then, yeah, Gordon against Bournemouth away. Yeah, that could be a good shout. And we can forget about Maguire. It wouldn't be a free hit, so we can just keep Anderson. And I'd have 0.3 million in the bank, I think, with value in mind. So let's just redo that one more time. One more time. Yeah, I've done this a million times. Burn. So something like that, of course. We'll talk more about the team selection next week. That's going to be an interesting one. So check that out next week. There's a lot to discuss. So yeah, we'll do something like that. Diaby to Gordon's a great shout. I'm not a big fan of selling Diaby against Fulham, though, if I'm being honest. But he is one of the more disposable assets, and it also trims down my Villa assets against Tottenham already for Game Week 13. So that is a great shout by Punjabi. Thank you very much, mate. So yeah, Gordon in, and that allows us to do Turner to David Rasha. Yeah, boy. Interesting stuff. Let me know what you think in the live chat. That's a great suggestion there, Punjabi. One I'm definitely considering. Saka or Diaby? Saka. Neto to Gross. I like Gross, but I'd rather go to Hwang Hee-chan or Gordon. Bench Diaby or Bowen. I'd probably bench... Difficult one, mate. Honestly, probably Diaby, but I'm in two minds about it. It's literally a coin toss. I'm guessing it's 50-50 call. Back your gut. Cameron Archer or Pape Sarr? Cameron Archer. Hi, Dylan. Sell Stupinian for Anderson or Gay? If money is no issue, I'd go for Anderson. Just think about future moves. Do you need the extra 0.4 million? If the answer is yes, go for Gay. James says, thanks for the help. Going to bring Rasha in myself. Would you start Bowen or Martinelli? Thanks. I would start Bowen. Thank you very much, mate. Start Hwang Hee-chan or Matoma? Hwang Hee-chan. Palmer versus Adingra versus Hwang Hee-chan. Hwang Hee-chan. Gabriel Trippier to play? Trippier. Hi. Start 3 out of Trent. To Luton, Tsimikas, Luton, Gay, Burnley, Cash. Obviously, it would be both Liverpool players and Cash in isolation, but who should I start while I own 2 Liverpool defenders? To be honest, if it was me, I'd bench Cash and start Gay. Sounds crazy, but I think Palace have a better chance of a clean sheet, and yeah, I think Forest are going to score. So I'd probably go for Gay, Tsimikas, and Trent, but in terms of attacking potential, covering the template, I can understand why you'd want to go for Cash. I'd start Trent and Tsimikas for sure. And if it was me, I'd be tempted by Gay. I think Lineker celebration is just an arms up in celebration. Hands spread out, palms facing or in fists. Anyone know any different? Yeah, I need to double check it. I actually forgot. Who are the 4 best midfielders for a free hit team? Phil Foden, Salah, Son, and just the 4th midfielder I'm kind of worried about. I mean, you could still say Saka, but yeah. Those 3, I think, are non-negotiable. I'd definitely go for those 3. The 4th one, though... My lord. Maybe Bowen? Maybe? Yeah, the 4th one I'm unsure about, but those 3 definitely go for on the free hit. Maybe Hwang Hee-chan, actually. I'd say Hwang Hee-chan, as Voda says. Start Hwang Hee-chan? Yes, but not over Maddison. Don't bench Maddison, please. Lascelles is 4 million and Lamptey and Taylor 3.9 million selling price. Burn to Gay would leave me at 0 million in the bank. Yeah, that is a shame. Maybe, yeah. I think long term that could be the move for you, and you can also cover the Newcastle defense. I'd do that. Not ideal. I think Gay is better for bonus points, but you're also upgrading your 5th defender. Kane is amazing, but he does not give the same feeling as Lineker or Shearer did. Yeah, to be honest, I mean, look, I think Kane, oddly enough, has more to his game than Shearer or Lineker. But I think Shearer, you know, what he did, I just don't see Kane doing that. I think Shearer is a different breed in terms of mentality. You know, he could score goals for Southampton and Blackburn. I don't really know if Kane... I mean, yes, Kane would score goals for those teams, but would he lead them to a title like he did with Blackburn? I'm not so sure. Of course, football's changed since then, but It's a question to ask. CJR says bench 1, Cash, Trippier, Bodro, Anderson, Diaby. That is a difficult one. Probably Cash, which sounds mad, but just my opinion. LCRHEO says, I have 2 free transfers. Should I take Power out for Tsimikas and Neto out for Adingra? Power out for Tsimikas, yes. Neto out for Adingra or Bruno out for a cheaper midfielder and Archer out for Nunez. Ah, yeah. In that case, I'd go for Bruno out to a cheaper midfielder and Archer out to Nunez. Yeah, I'd do that. But Power to Tsimikas long term is a good transfer too. Yeah, fair enough. And to be honest, when I'm looking at my future moves and I want to get Raya in or Johnston, I think it's best for me to not do it. DRK34, I'm not sure why. I just haven't seen your question, to be honest. So yeah, it's not any preferential treatment, which sometimes people think. It definitely isn't the case. Scar1 says, hi, who should I start? Lamptey, Gabriel, and Burn. Thinking of gambling on Lamptey start. I probably would risk it too, but as I said earlier, I think Brian will concede. Foden and Son or Maddison and Saka long term? Maddison and Saka. Bench 1, James Ward-Prowse, Trippier, or a doggy? I would bench a doggy, I think. Yeah, that's true. That is true. And I would expect a clean sheet there. So, look, Trippier by all means has to start out of those 3. Then, I think I'm still going to go for James Ward-Prowse. Cups' big ears, fair enough. However, Lamptey is back and available, and if Estupinian is still out for the next week, he has Sheffield United. Yeah, true, and a lot of Brighton fans I've seen think that Estupinian will be benched there. Gintapus' team, 1 free transfer, 0.2 million in the bank. Which transfer do you recommend, or should I roll? I'd roll, and then next week look to upgrade Turner to Raya or Johnston. Your outfield players are fine. Which 2 to start from Palmer, Archer, Taylor, Gay, and Gabriel? I'd start Gay for sure, and probably Taylor, maybe bank on a 0-0 draw there. Who to bench from Son, Saka, Bowen, Mitoma, and Alvarez? Can I say none? If I had to pick, it's between Bowen and Mitoma, and I'd probably bench Mitoma. Pickford or Turner? Pickford. Anyone here go to the old Wembley? Looked like it was falling down, but what an amazing ground it was. I've only been to the new Wembley, to be honest. Worth taking a hit to replace Taylor, Tsimikas, Cash, Mitchell, Burn for Gabriel, Turner for Raya. I wouldn't take it this week for any of those transfers. If anything, save it for Gameweek 12 and do it for free. Pradio says bench 1, Douglas Luiz for me. Start a doggy or Burn, says Yusuf. I'd start a doggy. Hwang or Adingra? I'd go for Hwang Hee-chan, to be honest. That would be my preference. So we have gone for a lot of questions, by the way. Smash the like button if you haven't already. It's an early stream. We've got half an hour left until the deadline. Let me know if you see anything on Twitter. I'm going to have a quick look, and then I'll get back to your questions very shortly. So yeah, I'm not ignoring anyone. I'm literally just checking Twitter right now because I haven't had time to. And I'm just going to have a quick water break as well. Otherwise, my voice will be gone. It will be. So let's see if I can get any Man City team news. Man City team. Haven't seen anything yet, to be quite honest with you. If you do see anything, let me know. Put a link in the live chat. It'd be greatly appreciated. Yeah, don't see anything at the moment. We could get something in 15 minutes, but yeah, maybe it'll be for the early kickoff instead. Adil says Vice Captain Alvarez or Watkins. If Salah's my captain and I don't have Haaland, I'd Vice Captain Alvarez anyway. The only concern is if he doesn't start, but Salah's going to start anyway, so I don't think the Vice Captaincy is that important, to be honest. But yeah, I'd Vice Captain Alvarez. Burn to Gavriel for a 1-week punt. Yeah, it's not too bad. I mean, with City, you always get defensive rotation. Remember, they do have a Champions League game midweek. I think it's on the Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken. So it wouldn't surprise me if certain players were rested this game and then they start in the Champions League instead. As a 1-week punt, I don't mind it. I think there are worse options. Just you have to hope that he does start. Hey Dylan, should I do Burn to Tsimikas or roll and start Burn or Gabriel? I would do Burn to Tsimikas personally. Coopsy Coop. Should I start Hwang Hee-chan over João Pedro? Yes, I wouldn't bench Hwang Hee-chan this week. Thank you very much, Lazy P. Worth taking a hit to get rid of a doggy for Gay. I wouldn't do it for a hit. I'd just start a doggy. If you've got a decent bench option like Burn or Gabriel, just stick with that. I am playing Simicas. It's just in Game Week 12, I might bench him. But that's looking further ahead, just to kind of really double up on Newcastle. And should I start Gabriel? Well, this week, I wouldn't ideally start Gabriel, but in Game Week 12, I would. Definitely. Starting 11, so Areola, Leno, Cash, Trippier, Simicas, Gay, Burn, Bowen, Matoma, Douglas Luiz, Salah, Saka, Alvarez, Haaland, Archer. Sorry, it's just early thing. I'm not bored of the question, trust me. I would go for Areola, Cash. Wait. Hold up, pause. Gay, Simicas, Trippier, back three. I'd go for Bowen, Matoma, Salah, Saka. Yeah, so you know what I'd do actually? I'd go for a 4-4-2 Satish. So it would be Areola in goal, Cash, Trippier, Simicas, Gay, back four. Bowen, Matoma, Salah, Saka, midfield four. Alvarez, Haaland up front. You reckon Lamptey would be benched against Sheffield United? I'm not sure, to be honest. Like I said, Brighton fans that I've seen think that Estupinian will be benched against Sheffield United, ready for the Europa League games. And if that's the case, then Lamptey could start, if anything. So I'm not too sure, to be honest. Saka or Maddison? Overall, Saka. This week, I'd say Maddison. Triple captain Haaland? Not a bad shout. I'm probably saving it, especially for Game Week 20, if City get that double of Brentford at home and... I forgot what the other game is now. I think it's Sheffield United at home. But yeah, look, it's not a bad shout. I'm probably saving it for later in the season. Bench one, Taylor or Burn? I would bench Burn. Simicas, Burn, Cash, Lamptey, Hwang Chan, Adingra, Son, Salah, Maddison, bench two. I'd bench Lamptey and Burn. Start one from Burn, Hwang Chan, and Diaby. Hwang Chan. Nunez or Watkins to buy? Well, this week Nunez looks better, but overall I still think Watkins is the more consistent asset. Yeah, Man United is probably the team we're going to get news from, isn't it? I'm thinking about starting Archer over Gordon, mate. Not a bad shout, to be fair, but I'd probably stick with Gordon. Diaby or Hwang? Hwang this week. Start Lascelles or Udogie? Udogie. 3 players from Liverpool or 3 from Villa? Liverpool. I'm thinking about starting Archer over Gordon. Yeah, I just went over that. Rank 18k, good stuff. Diaby or Hwang, we've covered. Who to bench from my squad? So Simon 1. Areola, Turner, Trippier. So yeah, let's just go for it. So I'd start Areola. So bench Turner. In the defense, I would bench White. In your midfield and attack, yeah, obviously Archer would be benched. So the third player I would bench is probably another defender. And I'd be tempted to bench Cash. Just saying. Free hit or no Haaland? I mean, a free hit isn't a bad shout this week, actually, especially for non-Haaland owners, sorry. But I typically like using a free hit in a blank or double game week, which you will get plenty of later in the season. I think if you don't have Haaland, just stick with it. And yeah, if you've got the likes of Darwin Nunez, Son, etc., you should be fine, I think. Start Flecken or Areola? Flecken. Should I start Hwang or Matoma? Hwang Hee-chan. Do I captain Nunez? Not a bad shout, but I think there are better options, to be honest. I think I'm going to roll. I was considering Saka to Foden as a 1-week punt, but I'm looking at the long-term game, and I might just roll, and then next week, look to find funds to get Raya in goal. Diaby or Hwang Hee-chan? Hwang Hee-chan, mate. I answered it. Start Onana or Pickford? Onana. Is Simicas the best option for long-term under 4.7 million? I think so. I'm thinking about starting Archer over Gordon. Yes, we've covered it, mate. No need to spam. Do I captain Nunez? Yes, we've gone through that. So let me just... I'll read them before, highlighting them. 6 a.m. deadline. It's terrible. Share or Taylor start? Taylor. Okay. Organ says, I don't have Haaland captain. Salah or Alvarez? Salah. Should I start Areola or Leno this week? Areola. Matoma versus Luiz to start this game week only. Matoma. Trippier to Gabriel or Gay? Do you need to sell Trippier though? I'd only do that if you're making a big upgrade elsewhere. Then Gordon to Matoma. Honestly, I'd keep Trippier personally, but if you really want to sell him, I'd go to Gay this week. Ethan puts his team just wildcarded last week. Saka to Foden this week to maybe reverse next game week. Yeah, I like that. I was considering something similar. Only do so if you've got enough money in the bank. So let's say 0.2 million or more. So even if you lose 0.1 million in value with Saka, you're easily able to buy him back next week, and you're not forced into an early transfer, which would have been the case for me. Start 2, Lamptey, Udogie, Lascelles, Taylor. I would go for Taylor and Udogie. Start Taylor Gabriel, says Balenciaga. I'd go for Taylor. Yusuf says, hi Dylan. Would you do Morris to Alvarez and Sterling to Matoma for a -4? Yes. Adingra or Hwang? Hwang Hee-chan. Start 2 between Burn, Gabriel and Branthwaite. Gabriel and Branthwaite. I think, yeah. Joao Pedro could be a cheeky punt this week. Yeah, he could. Would you play Palmer or Taylor? Taylor. Take out Gordon and bring in Diaby. I don't think I'd do that, to be honest. Remember, Gordon plays Bournemouth next week. Diaby has good fixtures overall, but they do turn very quickly from 15 onwards, and it's Spurs in Gameweek 13. Without Haaland, best captain? Salah, easily. Areola or Leno? Drafthound seems to think Leno, but I don't know. Yeah, it's a really tricky one. It's a flip of a coin. I personally prefer Areola a little bit more, but not by much. Will Mitchell start? I believe so. Tsimikas in for Burn or Roll? Thanks. I'd buy him. Yep. Thank you for monitoring the chat, Twisted. I appreciate it. Who to transfer out for Tsimikas? Anderson, Border, Trippier, Cash or White? Tricky one. Very tricky one. That's the problem, though. You know, I don't think any of them are necessarily sells. Cash in Gameweek 13 or 15. Maybe Ben White, actually, Simon. And then you can use those extra funds to upgrade one of your goalkeepers to Raya. I think that's the play. Hey, Dylan, Share likely to start or bring in Gay? I'd bring in Gay anyway, to be honest. And then you can get Lascelles if you want to cover Newcastle next week. I think that's what I do. Maddison, Wilson, Szoboszlai, start 1. Maddison, all day long. Don't bench Maddison no matter what you do. What should I do with Udogie? Transfer out or hold? Depends on the rest of your defenders and how many transfers you have, your budget. But if it was me, I'd probably sell Udogie and get rid of the headache. Start Mitoma or Gordon? Mitoma. Anis Ben Salah says, planning to free hit on Game Week 11. Yeah. Would you consider Worcester in for Watkins from Game Week 15 for his double game week? Yeah, that's not a bad shout. That isn't a bad shout. Good fixtures as well for Brentford. I'll be honest, I think Watkins is still better. But it is definitely a good shout with fixtures in mind and the potential double in 20. You says bench one of Saka, Bowen, Diaby and Maddison. I would personally bench one of Bowen or Diaby, and I'd personally bench Diaby if I had to pick one. ¿Qué opinas de la gente que va sin Haaland en el equipo? Y mira, siempre es un riesgo ir sin Haaland, pero también si uno tiene a Haaland, tienes mucho dinero para ir por Darwin Núñez, Oli Watkins, Trippier, Heung-min Son y muchos jugadores muy buenos que pueden hacer un buen trabajo para tu equipo. Así que, mira, para mí no vale la pena. Y yo dije ya hace algunas semanas atrás que con el tiempo ya va a venir un tiempo donde yendo sin Haaland va a ser un riesgo muy grande y ya lo va a querer comprar de nuevo. Como en contra United hace 16 puntos, 2 goles y 1 asistencia y ya la gente está en pánico y lo quiere comprar de nuevo y toman un -8 y últimamente no vale la pena. Pero para mí hay un argumento para ir sin Haaland, pero para mí personalmente no vale la pena a largo plazo. Tsimikas in for Gabriel or Roll. I'd probably bring Tsimikas in, and you can always then bring in Raya in goal later on. Should I start Share? I personally wouldn't if possible. Son is, in my honest opinion, the current best asset in the game. Fair enough. Most people will regret not owning him. Possibly. I mean, I also think with Son, he is a bit of a purple patch player. That's the way I see him. Archer, Burn, Gordon, start 1. Gordon. Adingra or Hwang? Hwang. Burn or Ream? Burn. Maddison, Wilson, Szoboszlai, start 1. Maddison, I answered this already. Start Pedro Porro or Akanji. This week it would be Akanji. Burn or Ream? Burn, like I said. Which pair is better for this week? Son and Tsimikas or Bowen and Trent? I'd say Son and Tsimikas. Is there a reason why people are suddenly going for Gay over Anderson? Budget. Anderson's 5 million. Gay is 4.6. Nope, no team news, unfortunately. Burn or Archer first on my bench. I'd go for Burn. I'm really contemplating whether to captain Haaland or Salah. So am I. So is everyone. Each time I switch, the other does better. Welcome to my world. Welcome to my world, mate. That's the way I see it as well. Thank you, Chad Scott. As he says, like the video and also subscribe. We're currently on 114 likes. So before we end this, and by the way, we're 80 minutes before the deadline, let's get this stream to 150 likes. It'd be massively appreciated. We're 36 away, and we're also making more progress towards 12,000. 12,000? I'm back like 2 years ago. We're making progress towards 22,000 subscribers. Dylan, are you recommending Hwang Hee-chan over Adingra? Both, to be honest. I think Hwang Hee-chan is a better asset in both scenarios. IDJP says, I have both Haaland and Salah. I'm thinking crazily who to captain, but I have captain Salah right now. Yeah, look, honestly, I don't think there's a right or wrong, but I mentioned the arguments earlier in the stream, and because of those reasons, I'm going for Haaland. Neto to Luiz, Mitoma or Hwang? I'd personally go to Hwang. I'm so torn. Yeah, so am I, Jazabi. I wouldn't consider Watkins personally in this captaincy debate. I think he could score, but I think Salah and Haaland's ceiling is way higher. They are the two that you should focus on, in my opinion. Yeah, Yupo, you're literally spamming the chat, so you're going to be timed out. Start a Nana or Areola. I'd probably go for a Nana, just about. Would you sell or keep James Ward-Prowse for Gordon or Hwang Hee-chan? I'd probably sell. Long-term Gordon's the play, but I'd be tempted by Hwang Hee-chan. A futuro que doble fecha son posibles. La jornada 20 para Manchester City y Brentford. Hala? I literally mixed them. Haaland or Salah captain? I'm currently going for Haaland, mate. Archer, Watkins or Haaland? Yeah, 0.5 million and 2 free transfers. Salah, Neto, Bowen. Oh, yeah, I'm not sure what you said at the end there. I'm not going to lie. I'm guessing it's... Yeah, I'm not sure. Bowen or Mitoma? Bowen for me. Gordon and Burn to Mitoma. Lascelles free. I'm not sure if it's worth it, to be honest. Like, next week, you probably want both Gordon and Burn. Bench one, Diaby or Bowen? Or Mitoma? I look to bench Diaby, potentially. It's really tricky, honestly. It's a flip of a coin. Dylan, I need help. Should I do Mitoma for Maddison? No. Tsimikas for Trippier. And Watkins for Wissa. So yeah, if doing Tsimikas in for Trippier allows you to get Watkins for Wissa, I don't mind it. But ultimately, around 13 or 15, you might want to sell Watkins anyway. But Mitoma for Maddison, not worth it. Not for me. Thank you, Fabian. Great content as always, lad. Is there any news on either Zuma or Gabriel? Well, there's no news, but to be honest, Gabriel should start. You know, it's just a benching. Arteta was rotating in the last week in both competitions. I wouldn't really, pay too much attention on that. Gay or Trippier, who to bench? I just start Trippier for the attacking potential, to be honest. James Ward-Prowse replacement. Hwang Hee-chan or Gordon, sorry. Try asking for advice as I have no clue what to do. Yeah. Yes, I'm not sure. I mean, if the last one... Yeah, I just didn't get what the last bit was. Archer, Watkins, Haaland. I think that might have been what you were trying to say. 2 free transfers. Yeah, I think what you would look to do is upgrade your goalkeeper, a bit like myself. So Turner to Johnston or Raya would be ideal. In order to fund that, yeah, you've also got Neto. So maybe Neto to Hwang Hee-chan and look to do Turner to Raya or Johnston Goldhead. Let me know what you think. Vice Captain Salah or Alvarez? Salah. It's just a Chrome extension. Type in FPL away kits and you'll find it on Google. Your opinion about Edouard this week? Not a bad shout for a 1 week punt, but I'm not a big fan overall, if I'm being completely honest. I think it'll be a low-scoring game. My prediction is 1-0 Palace. He could score the goal, of course, but 50 minutes to lock in. Yeah, you are right. Thank you for the super chat, Aaron Rani. Thank you very much. Start 2, Martinelli, Diaby, or Hwang. Start Trippier or Anderson. So, look, as much as I like Anderson, and I think Palace have a better chance of a clean sheet, I'd probably go for Trippier simply for the avenues of points. Goals, assists, bonus points, and Trippier is always a handful. So I'd probably start Trippier. As for your other question, I'd go for Hwang Hee-chan and Diaby. So yeah, Hwang Hee-chan, Diaby, and Trippier for me, Aaron. Let me know what you think. Thank you very much for the super chat. I don't know, mate. Honestly, I don't know. I can only give you my opinion. I'd say yes, but I could be wrong. Foden is starting. Oh, God, just to tempt me, isn't it? So let me know where you got that from. But yeah, I'm going to have a quick look and see if I can find it. So yeah, if you got the link to that source, put it in the live chat. He's not a great pick, to be honest. He's not bad. He's not horrendous, but he's not great either. A doggy out for Cash or Tsimikas? Tsimikas. Bench 1, Maddison, Bowen, Matoma. Don't include Maddison in these debates, in my opinion, but I'd bench Matoma. Trippier or Gay? Trippier. I mean, I don't know if I really need a goalkeeper transfer. Fair enough, but I genuinely think that Turner will lose a spot, and Arilo's kept 1 clean sheet this season, so I think it's a way of improving your team. Just my opinion. Yeah, thank you to Stupaki. Gay, Maguire, Palmer, bench 1. Maybe Cole Palmer. Yeah, I'll go through the score predictions very soon. I've listed a few as we went along, but I'll try to go through all of them after the deadline has passed. Bench 1, it'd be Burn. So I'd start Taylor and bench Burn. Welcome, Gary. Morning, brother Dylan. Good luck this week. Likewise, mate. Thank you very much. And thank you, Ziafan. Stay healthy too. Same with your family. For some reason we had 17 drop frames, but only 0% of the stream. That's good. Matoma, Nketiah, Mbumo, any 2. Well, starting this week, it'd be Matoma and Mbumo. Gay, Saliba, Archer, bench order. The way you put it. So Gay first, but I'd also look to maybe start him if possible. Maybe John. It might just be mind games. I honestly don't know what the situation is there, but either way, I think Newcastle will concede. Starting order for Cash, Pedro Porro, or Gabriel. It would be Pedro. I think it'd be Cash first, Pedro Porro, and then Gabriel. So the way you said it, just about. I don't have. Let me just find it. I don't have Villa defender. Yeah, but to be honest though, Villa's fixtures turn very soon, and Cash has the attacking potential, but I'm not so sure if you should buy one now. I'd rather go to Gay. What about Walker today? Does he start? I have no idea. I'm trying to find it now. Let me see if I can. I'm going to go to some websites that sometimes put these leaks, but yeah, I haven't seen anything yet. Yeah, if you've got a link, let me know, because honestly, I'm kind of struggling to find this link here. Start 1, Almiron, Burn, or Lamptey. Out of those 3, I'd be tempted by Almiron. No Man United news as far as I'm aware. Who are must-have players this game week? Haaland, Salah. I'd say Liverpool defender like Tsimikas or Trent. Darwin Nunez / Alvarez, one of those 2. Phil Foden. I think those are some of the best assets this week. Alvarez and Taylor or Wissa and Anderson. It would be Alvarez and Taylor. Cash or Pedro Porro. Cash. Pedro Porro or Taylor. Pedro Porro. Bench Cash or Tomiyasu. Bench Tomiyasu. Tsimikas, Pau, Gabriel, Taylor, Gay. Bench 1. Probably Gabriel. Gordon or Matoma. Matoma this week. Potentially bench Saka and play 4 defenders. I wouldn't bench Saka, if I'm being honest. He's so consistent. Rashford is a doubt. I'm not sure. He did party after the Manchester derby. I'm not sure if that plays a part, but would you do Matoma to Foden? As a 1-week punt, yes, I would. Bench 1, Mbumo or Maddison. I'd bench Mbumo. Top 5 defenders overall. It would be, in no particular order, Tsimikas, Matty Cash for now, Gabriel / Saliba. I'd say Joachim Anderson and probably Dan Burn long term. Would you do Ariola to Edison for free? Not a bad shout, but I'd rather go to Raya or Johnston if I'm being honest. They're the 2 best goalkeepers, I think, in terms of value. Edison's really good this week, but what about long term? I'm not so sure. Start Højlund or Maddison. Cash, Tomiyasu, bench. I'd bench Tomiyasu. Gay or Tsimikas for Gabriel. I'd go for Tsimikas, but I also like Gabriel long term if I'm being honest. Hey mate, start Maguire, Gabriel, Taylor. I'd go for Taylor. Pedro Porro for Tsimikas. What's your opinion? I think it's good, and it also could open up avenues in other areas in terms of transfer funds. Watkins or Alvarez? This week it'd be Alvarez. Sell Maddison for Matoma Diaby. Already have Son. I wouldn't sell Maddison. Unless you're upgrading another position, I would just keep Maddison, to be honest. Cash Tomiyasu, start one. I've covered that. Gordon or Martinelli. Probably Gordon this week. Start Gordon or Watkins. I'd go for Watkins. Burn to Tsimikas. Yes, but I also like Burn long term. Rashford injured. They're saying he's injured and he didn't train yesterday. Fair enough. I literally need to find this because I can't see anything on Twitter. It is difficult because I'm also going through questions, but yeah, it's difficult to find this. Let's see. Oh yeah, here. Exclusive. The United Stand understands that Marcus Rashford didn't train yesterday due to injury and faces a late fitness test ahead of today's game against Fulham. So there's still a chance he will play, but Rashford is a doubt. You already know my thoughts on Rashford and United assets. I would look to sell. Yeah, so the Rashford, I mean, I think it's a reliable source here. Remember, that Sam guy who does team leaks, I think he works for the United Stand, so he could be the one with the information. Burn out for Gavardi, done. Good luck. Start Gordon or Darwin. Bench Saka or Maddison. Probably Saka. Honestly, I'm not a big fan though of benching either. Don't bench. Don't. One is the City blank. Gameweek 18. Same with Brentford. But they'll probably have a double in Gameweek 20. Ariel or Flecken. I'd go for Flecken this week. Of course, Trippier's good. You know that. Fabian says, hey Dylan, I don't have Areola. Would you go from Zuma to Tsimikas? Definitely. And also, West Ham defence isn't exactly great, let's be honest. Simon Wall says, hi Dylan, and thanks for the help. If I take out White for Tsimikas, which one of Areola and Turner should I transfer out? Turner. I'd rather keep Areola long term, even though he's a bit more expensive. Start Lamptey, Burn or Gabriel. I'd go for Lamptey. Thank you very much, Yusuf. As he says, like the stream. Let's get this to 150. Let me try and get the Foden news up as well to verify that. Apparently he starts, just to make things more difficult, because he was going to be my 1 week punt this week. I haven't seen anything in terms of him starting, though. I haven't seen it on Twitter myself. Like I said, if you do see it, put a link in the live chat. Who to start? Tsimikas, Burn, Trippier, Anderson, Lascelles, only 3. I'd go for Tsimikas, Trippier, and Anderson. João Pedro or Adingra? I would go for Adingra. Yeah, thank you, Punjabi. We're very close to 150 likes, as he says. Should I sell Bone for Son for a -4? I like Son a lot, but I think I'd keep Bowen, potentially. Salah or Saka? Salah. Keep Haaland for this week or buy Alvarez? I'd personally... Difficult one, but I'd buy Alvarez. I definitely would. I'd avoid United attack for now. It could be a game where Haaland finally returns in the Premier League, but I prefer Alvarez. Bench Hwang Hee-chan or Diaby? I'd bench Diaby. Tsimikas longer term, Gameweek 14 plus instead of Gay due to future price rises. Give me defender troubles in Gameweek 13 though. Yeah, that could be that's a good shout against City. Yeah, that could give you defender trouble. But I'd still, I mean, yeah. Over the next 5 overall, Gay looks better in terms of fixtures. I'd still go for Tsimikas though, and then in Gameweek 13, you could still buy Gay for another defender instead. That's just my take on it. I don't know the rest of your team. Nunez captain. I'm not completely against it. It's not my favourite though, as I mentioned to you earlier. Foden starts as Joseph. Yeah, I don't even know what the source is though, unfortunately. But I'm assuming you're getting it from a reliable source. Should I sell Bowen for Son for -4? I answered that. Burn or Taylor's first bench? I'd go for Taylor. And what about Turner over Areola to start? I just start Areola. Thank you, Fabian. Start Gabriel, Cash, or Pedro Porro. I would go for Cash out of those 3. Pedro Porro is tempting, though. Start 2 out of Gordon, Van der Ven, and Burn. I would start Gordon and Van der Ven. What do you think of a team of Areola, Cash, Gabriel, Trippier, Palmer, Diaby, Salah, Mbeumo, Darwin Núñez, and Haaland? It's good. It's solid. Palmer's the only weak link, in my opinion, this week. Darwin captain. Not my favourite. He would be my top 5, but I think Salah is better, not to mention Haaland. Just my take, though. I have 2 free transfers, and I don't know what to do at all. Do burn to Tsimikas or just burn the transfer? I think I'd do burn to Tsimikas, and you can always bring Lascelles in if Botman is still out. We're getting a lot of Captain Nunes questions. I just answered that. In Mbeumo for -4. Depends who you sell, but I don't think I'd go there because he faces Liverpool and Arsenal in the next 3. Who to bench? Lamptey, Burn, Cash, Tsimikas, Trippier. Pick 2. I would bench Lamptey and Burn, Twisted Parky. David, I've answered that question. Oysen says, I have 2 free transfers and don't know what to do. Yep, I've covered that. Netta replacement, already have Palmer. I'd go for Hwang Hee-chan or Gordon. Foden and Nunez in for Odegaard and Joao Pedro, or bring Haaland for a -4. I think I'd bring Haaland for a -4, to be honest. Not a question, but Bobby Cordova Reed for a 1-week punt. I wonder why you're saying that. Alvarez or Mbeumo to play. Alvarez. Is it wise to captain Salah over Haaland? I'm not sure if it's wise. I mean, look, they're both great options. I mean, the 2 best options on paper. And I personally prefer Haaland for the reasons I discussed throughout the stream. But that doesn't make Salah a bad option. It's really tough to call. I've been getting it wrong very often, to be honest. Johnston or Areola? Johnston for sure. Leno or Areola? I'd probably go for Areola, but it's a difficult one. Thank you for monitoring the chat there. Taylor, Gabriel, Lamptey, ranked to start. Taylor first. Probably Gabriel second and Lamptey third. Maddison versus Mbeumo versus Saka versus Alvarez, bench 1. Probably Mbeumo. I wouldn't want to bench any of them, to be honest. Watkins, captain, or Salah? Salah. Dan Burn or Charlie Taylor? Taylor. Yeah, we are very close now. 2 minutes since I'm a bit far behind in the chat. Is Douglas Luiz an option? He's all right, but remember, all of his returns have come at home. FPL Main Road has the phone and info. Thank you. I appreciate the direction there. I'm really tempted by Foden, but if I'm looking long term, yeah, I mean, it might just benefit me to just roll the transfer. And honestly, Saka is still a good option, to be honest. But so I expect some sort of rotation today. I'm thinking he might start Calvin, as Rodri is 1 booking away from suspension with Chelsea, Liverpool, and Spurs in the next 3. I think Foden is starting, he says. So it's not confirmed, but he does think it. He's unsure about Alvarez starting as well. Yeah, so he says he thinks. So yeah, Foden is likely to start, but it's not absolutely confirmed. So yeah, let's wait and see what happens there. Trippier or Gabriel, says Ayub. Trippier, definitely. Vicario, Leno in goal. Vicario. The Fantasy Football Lab puts his team starting 11. How is this team looking for Game Week 11 and going forwards? Good, of course. I think your goalkeeper could improve. So if you can find funds, Turner to Johnston or Raya is ideal. But yeah, your outfield players is looking really solid. One thing you could consider in the coming weeks is even downgrading Matoma to Gordon and then using that to upgrade Turner to a better goalkeeper. The rest looks absolutely fine. Start Trippier or Pedro Porro? Trippier, just about. Foden punt, come on, Dylan. I've only got 5 seconds to do it. It's too late. But yeah, look, like I said, I think long-term it's the best call to just leave things as they are. So we are locked in now. The last hour went by so quickly. Thank you, Jasabi. As he says, 10 more likes and we get to 150. Be sure to do so. Kanate for Gabriel for a -4. No, I wouldn't do that. And we are locked. Yes, we are. Just the Park says locked. Let's now go to the fixtures and I'm going to give you my predictions. So, Fulham versus Man United. It might seem a bit woke to say this, but I'm going to go for a 2-1 Man United win. They just have this ability to grind out results even when they're playing poorly. So I think they will do so here. Brentford against West Ham, I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw, which could bode well for Mbeumo and Bowen owners. Burnley versus Crystal Palace, I'm going to go for 1-0 Crystal Palace. Everton Brighton might seem surprising, and sorry, Twisted Parky, but I think I'm going to go for 2-1 Everton. Man City Bournemouth, 4-0 Man City. Sheffield United against Wolves, I'm going to go for 1-0 Wolves. Newcastle against Arsenal. I said 2-1 yesterday to Newcastle, but I don't know. It's just Arsenal, they have this ability to bounce back after a disappointing result. It was a different competition, but I think a draw could be on the cards here. Wow. You know what? I think I'm going to go for a draw. I'm going to go for 1-1 Newcastle Arsenal. Forest Aston Villa, I'm now going to change that to a 2-1 Aston Villa. Luton against Liverpool, I'm going to go for 3-0 Liverpool. And Spurs-Chelsea, 2-0 Spurs. So those are my predictions. I know there's a few woke ones in there, like Everton-Brighton. But remember, Everton beat them 5-1 at the Amex just a few months ago. Different circumstances, of course. Twister puts his predictions. Fulham 1-1 against United. 2-1 Brentford, yeah. 1-0 Palace. 2-1 Brighton. 5-0 City. 1-0 Wolves. 1-1 Arsenal. Yeah, we've got some similar predictions there. I also went for 1-1 Forest Villa originally, but I might change that to Villa. 3-0 Liverpool. Actually, a lot of our predictions are quite similar. Nick N says, Leno, Cash, Simicast, Gabriel, Gavardio, Son, Madison, Salah, captain, Haaland. I'm guessing one of them's captain and the other's vice. I mean, I'm guessing Haaland's captain. Alvarez, Watkins, Turner, Palmer, Charlie Taylor, Elliott, Anderson. Yeah, long term you could look to upgrade your bench, but that looks good. We are locked in indeed. No news on share. Thank you to Stapaki as always. The drop in team value is the only thing keeping me from Saka to Foden. Yeah, same here. That's the big reason why I didn't do it, because apart from not having 2 free transfers next week where I'd look to bring in Raya, I also could be priced out of buying Saka back for Game Week 12, and I'd rather have Saka from Game Week 12 onwards. There's no doubt about it. But if Foden starts, which is looking very likely, I think he's going to go off, and I could regret it, but it is what it is. Once again, muchas gracias por la ayuda. Espero que te vaya bien este Game Week. Igualmente, me irá a dormir, que son las 6 de la mañana. Sí, eres de Colombia, ¿no? Así que muy, muy temprano. Cuando yo estaba en Argentina en marzo, yo no podía levantarme a las 5 de la mañana para hacer un deadline stream a las 6 de la mañana. No vale la pena. Y encima voy a despertar a los demás en mi casa. Así que yo hacía los deadline streams el día anterior a las 5 de la tarde, algo así. Así que buena suerte, dormí y descansa. I agree with the reason behind Everton prediction. I'm not confident. Yeah, of course, and you're a Brighton fan, it's natural, and Brighton are the better team. And also, Everton are in good form, and football is just a weird game, of course. It could even be a draw, you know, I wouldn't rule that out. I having to wait for games after the deadline. I'm actually not too bothered because, especially this season, I haven't done that well. So, Spurs 2-1 against Chelsea, fair enough. Boo, Chelsea winning 4-0. Mate, I'd love that. And I don't like Chelsea at all, but Chelsea winning 4-0 would be amazing. Don't get me wrong. Even if Mudryk scores a hat-trick, but it's not happening, let's be real. It's more likely that Spurs win 4-0 than Chelsea getting a point. I know it sounds crazy to say that. Okay, maybe not. Okay, it's more likely for Spurs to win 4-0 than Chelsea getting a win. Wish it was like UCL Fantasy, yeah. And it's also more interesting because there's more variation in the game. Even though, in the last couple of weeks, FPL has been a bit more interesting, but not to the same level as UCL Fantasy, in my opinion. Thank you, Wally, for watching from the poll. And like I say, it's always crazy to see people watching from all around the world. I'm literally just streaming from the UK, but it's always good to interact to interact with people from all around the world. Thank you to everyone for watching. It's been a blast talking for the last 2 hours or so. If you haven't already, smash the like button and subscribe if you're new. Let's try to get this stream to over 150 likes. I think we've done so already. I'll have a quick look very soon. You can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram, DylanRCM, and check all the links in the description below for the Patreon, Championships Discord server, and the FPL League. All of that is there. Thank you, Simon Ward. We have reached 150 likes. Aldane says, only fear this week was Darwin, but just couldn't find the courage to sell Watkins. Best of luck this game week, Dylan. Likewise, and I completely agree. And also with Watkins, I think he's more of a sell in game week 13 or 15. It would be a big risk to sell him now, and then you have some fixtures like Fulham at home and Bournemouth away very soon. Sheffield Wednesday to stay up this season. Miracles happen. Are you a Sheffield Wednesday fan? If so, good luck. Watching from Romania, thanks for the tips. Thank you, Nick. I didn't know that. Thank you very much. Good luck, Twisted Parky, and everyone else watching. Thank you, Jazabi and Zvonimir. Simon Warren too, who also sent in a team a few weeks ago, maybe last month, for the Rating Your Teams video. So it's been a blast talking to all of you. There could be a reaction stream tomorrow. I'll try to keep you guys and girls updated in due course. There is a best wildcard team out already for UCL Fantasy ahead of match day 4. That was uploaded yesterday. The best limitless team was uploaded the day before that. And I'm looking to do a team selection video on Monday. So pretty much we're doing a video per day. And on Tuesday, we've got the big one, the deadline stream for UCL Fantasy in match day 4. So good luck to everyone watching for both FPL and UCL Fantasy. I wish you all the best of luck. And most importantly of all, enjoy the football. And I'll see you next time.